And good evening. Welcome everyone back to another episode of Next Round Sports. This is Chris Porter with my partners in crime, Caleb Culver and Jeff Amos. How you doing tonight, gentlemen?
Looking
Buenas
good.
noches.
Doing good. We're looking forward to the to big NFL discussion because I have a ton to say about Sunday. I have a ton to talk about this upcoming Sunday. So
There's a
looking forward
lot
to
to
it.
get into, and we do want to hit into what's
It
going
was a
on
good
with
week.
the NFL season wrapping up and playoff positioning really coming into key points right here. We'll get into that as we go along, but we'll go ahead and start by saying hope everyone is liking our videos. Please comment, give us your pointers, or hear what you would want us to talk about, and like and share this with out there into the internet universe so we can get some more content out here for you. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in here into NFL this last week, week 14, and we'll start right off the bat with the biggest game. It was Cowboys Eagles, and we talked ad nauseum about this last
Yeah.
week, and I even said they need to prove it right here and come out and show what they did. And you know what they did? They
Yes.
came out, they punched Philly in the mouth, and they punched him hard.
They did, and they did a very good job. And I think we got to give Jeff his props too. He actually called a decent game for Pollard, and lo and behold, he actually had a decent game. I mean, it was 60 yards and averaging 3.7, but that's been a
It
good
wasn't
game
bad
for
enough to
Pollard,
beat me in fantasy, but it was good enough to help win the game. And that's what I wanted. I was
right? Like
playing
he
against
kept
Pollard.
matriculating down the field, as they say.
I was playing against
Uh,
Pollard
As
and
Hank
Cook.
Strader's.
I think pairing Pollard with Rico is a good strategy, and the Dallas
Right.
needs to keep doing it going forward.
I
Pollard
was
is
about
not
to
a
say.
full every down back. He needs those breaks to catch his legs and under him, and Rico can be the
He's a
bowling
speed
ball.
back. He's a speed back. That's what he is. And this reminds me a
That's what I
lot
said.
of
He needs to
back.
get his legs under.
Well, this reminds me a lot of the Julius Jones, Marion Barber pairing back early in the 2000s, where you
True.
had the speedster out first. It was your first guy that you run out and run fast stuff. And then you had the bowling ball, rest in peace, Marion the Barbarian, who would come in and just
Yeah.
pound the defense hard. Enrico Dowdle, the way that he runs, like watching him run, it reminds me a lot of Barber, the way he used to just
Well,
lay
let me
his
ask
shoulder
you
down
this
into
question
people
too.
and run
I'm
them
going
over.
to shift a little bit, but Dak Prescott now tied, I think, with the league leading touchdown passes with Josh Allen. However, Josh Allen also leads the league in interceptions.
Yes.
Where Dak Prescott is way down that list now. And he didn't throw an interception this game. Is he starting to turn it around for you and maybe become a fan of his again? Or are you still like, Dak,
I
fuck it?
I'm not jumping on the Dak bandwagon like everyone else is. That he's the NFL MVP. I saw a blurb
Yeah,
across
that's the
ESPN
talk.
earlier that said he's the leading candidate for MVP.
I think they're
Okay,
forgetting about a man in Baltimore called Lamar Jackson. I'm just going to say that.
if they want for me to change my opinion on Dak, he's going to need to win the Super Bowl.
That much.
That's what it's going to have to be. That's at this point in his career. That's where it needs to be, and especially at the
Oh,
level that he is playing
should
right
be.
now, the way that
And the team
he
around him.
has, the way that he has since that San Francisco debacle, really the way that he has played since then, he has progressed. He has looked more competent in this West Coast offense. McCarthy doesn't look like as big of an idiot now with the way that the offense is clicking on all cylinders. The thing is, we talked about this when Dallas played San Francisco back earlier in the season, is when they meet again in the playoffs, that's going to be two different teams from what they are now. Dallas is a completely different team. Defensively, they're the same team. They're still a hungry, turnover driven team. They've dealt
Yeah.
with some injuries, but so is everyone else. The offense is now on a different level because they're all now working the same way.
Now the crazy thing too
However,
with this defense,
49ers are also on a different level as well too offensively.
yes,
They are looking
now,
great. Brock
this
Purdy is
defense
right
didn't
in the
have a
system.
single turnover. They didn't cause a single turnover from the Eagles, if I remember right.
No, that's
No, I
not
take
true.
that back.
They
I
had
take that
three
back.
guys.
I
Eagles
did.
fumbled three
No
times.
interception. No interceptions. I take that back. My bad. No interceptions, but Jeff's correct.
No interception, but there were three.
Micah Parsons had the only sack.
Mm-hmm.
But they did have pressure all night long, so that was very good by the defense.
And that's
Getting
the
after
thing that
the
you
Eagles.
can't get on the stat sheet are the pressures because those don't get recorded stats.
Yeah, the closest they had to that is I think a QB rush, but
Right.
Yeah.
But
those are hard to
but
get against Jalen Hurts anyway because he's running around all over the place no matter what.
He's
And how
got the
many designed
legs.
runs they set for him, like on second down, where he's dropping back as soon as he hikes the ball.
Yeah.
Kelsey's pulling out like a fullback in front of him, and he's falling in right behind him. Now, at the beginning of the game, he was running for 10, 11 yards, but as the game went on and they kept doing that, it was coming down to 6 to 5. They
Yeah.
were starting to really shut that down and keep him from using his legs as a weapon as the game progressed.
Yeah.
the thing
And
that
good
stood
showing
out-
by the rookie too. Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna give the rookie this last first rounder. See if I can find his name real quick.
Ozzie Smith.
Yeah, Mozzie Smith. Thank you.
Ozzie Smith.
He actually had a good game because he has not been the run stopper that they drafted him for, but with a couple injuries on the O line, he stepped up and had a good game.
He hadn't been in the lineup as much. He's been a relative.
That's because he
backup so
hasn't
far,
been able to do it.
and he hasn't. And Hankins, who got injured with the ankle injury, has been really a solid, interior defensive lineman. So with the injury to Hankins, he was able to come in and was able to take advantage of that opportunity. And actually looks like he can keep that going, so they don't have to rush Hankins back. From the injury report that I saw with Hankins, it's not a season-ending injury. He should be back by the playoffs, no later than the playoffs, possibly sooner. But however, if Mozzie Smith continues to play well, there's no reason to rush him back. Let him get back to fully 100% if Mozzie Smith is playing productively there on the interior and living up to that first round draft status.
Yep. Very true.
But I do have to say, CeeDee Lamb, once again, another phenomenal game.
He's got a record
And-
now for the most consecutive games of 100 yards, I believe.
Yes, tied Des Bryant with that 5 games in a row, and I think he might be. I mean, there's a possibility of him beating that this next coming week up against Buffalo. Could be hard, but Buffalo hasn't
That's
looked great.
possible.
They have not looked
No.
great. They did win against Kansas City this last week. We'll talk.
There's
more
a
about
reason
that
they
in a
were like
minute,
6-6 with going into Kansas.
but there is. They've lost too many close games. But we'll get into Buffalo here in just a minute. We're still talking
Yeah.
about Dallas. Philly, once again, they're the first team in league history to lose to to have an 8-game lead or a game, basically eight-game win-loss, differential, and to lose to 2 teams by as badly as they did. That's the first time that's ever happened. They just got completely embarrassed by San Francisco, completely embarrassed by Dallas.
Yep. They're going to
Once
have
again,
to figure
saying
it
this
out.
is not a Philly team that everybody said they were. This isn't the same Philly team from last year.
Well,
It's not. They're not
well,
the
yeah.
same team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we
No.
figured that out going in like 3 weeks into the season. This was not
Sure,
the same
and
team.
we've been saying that since 3 weeks in the season. However, they
agree, I
kept
agree.
winning, except for the Jets. So
Mhm.
you had to put them up there at the top of the league because they were winning. Now, were they winning close? Were they winning ugly? Yes, but they were still winning. So they
Wins
came
a
up
win, as
against
Bill Cowher said.
quality, better teams. Teams that are now hitting their stride at the right time. San Francisco and Dallas. That's going to be the 2 teams that's going to be coming up.
And Dallas
against.
officially has the division lead at the moment. But they're in a rough
Well,
part of the
they
schedule.
do. Well, is it that rough? Is it that rough? I mean, you look at the upcoming schedule. You have Buffalo. You do have Miami. Those are 2 winnable games.
That's what I say. This just 3-game stretch here is the one that's going to be interesting to see.
It
They
is.
say Miami
It's gonna be
lost
very
this week too, and a crazy comeback loss.
They did, but also Buffalo destroyed Miami. They destroyed them weeks ago. Miami is
early
easily
in the
beatable.
season, though.
Wasn't that early in the season?
Yeah,
Thought that
but,
was
but also
second
too,
week or
Caleb. Yeah,
something, but,
in regards to Buffalo and Miami, I mean, I think Buffalo again. I'm not giving them any excuses because they lost these games, but all their losses are within about a handful of points, and then you just have a Miami team blow a 2-touchdown lead on Monday Night Football against a inferior Titans.
I'm not
team
saying they're
doing
not
this as
winnable
well.
games. I'm just saying these are quality teams. Don't overlook them. And then
Well,
you've got
I'm not
a little
overlooking
bit of
anybody here.
downtime
I'm not overlooking
after these
anyone
next
because
two,
I
I
can tell you
think.
right now, I'm not afraid of the Bills in Buffalo. I'm not afraid of them because they beat a very flawed Kansas City team last week, and before that, they've lost to many, many bad teams. I'm not afraid of the Dolphins, not at all, because their defense is still sketchy. They've proven it too many times that they're not very good, and they're going to go up against our offense, and our defense is really, really good. The only one really to worry about, which I'm not even worried about, Detroit at home because it's at home. If we were in Detroit, maybe I'd worry about it there, but in Dallas, I'm not, or Arlington,
Nah, I
technically.
mean the
I'm not
home
worried about
record
Detroit there.
this year is crazy for Dallas. I think they're undefeated at home, actually. If I
They're
remember
undefeated at home, and they've scored over 30 points at home every game.
right. Yeah,
I
you don't want to face Dallas
they
at
play
home,
better at home.
but
So
that's
as
another
much as I like
important
Detroit,
factor of these games. You need to pay attention. You need to win them because if you can get some home field advantage through some of that playoffs,
well, what Dallas needs to do is they need to win out.
be
They need to
big
win
for
the next 4
Dallas.
games out. And honestly, this is the game that I think everyone's overlooking, and I think this is the trap game right here. Is that last game against the Washington Commanders in Washington? That to me is the trap game because they're going to come out against the Bills. They're going to come out against Miami. These are teams that they should come out against. They're going to come out against Detroit because they're at home and they play well at home. But coming off 3 wins off 3 quality teams, 3 playoff teams, well, Bills possible playoff. They're still trying to get in there, but everybody picked them to be high. That's neither here nor there.
And you're assuming wins there too, but
I'm assuming wins on all 3 of those. But then you walk into Washington and it doesn't. And okay, say Washington loses the next 3 games, which is very possible because they're not very good. Sam Howell's not a quality starting quarterback. Ron Rivera is a sitting duck. He's a sitting. Ron Rivera's a sitting duck.
Oh, Ron Rivera's
whatever.
A sitting duck,
yeah,
but Sam Howell can be a possession QB if you can get a run game and stuff around him.
He's done. No, he's going to be a backup. Watch it.
He is one of the highest. I think he's 3rd in the league in touchdowns, maybe 4th.
His team is 4-9.
I think Sam Howell's
not his fault.
Backup quarterback, but he is not someone that, in my mind,
I'm just saying.
Well, I will agree to disagree, but it is definitely
a game that I am worried about.
And it's a division game. They're going to come out and try to F them over every chance they get.
It's a division game.
You want that division lead? Let me take that away from you.
Exactly. And if Philly wins out right there, and it comes down to you beat the Commanders, you win the division, or you lose it and Philly wins it, Washington would love to be able to knock them out and be able to upset. Okay, sorry Philly does, but hey, at least we get to knock the Cowboys out. That's the game I'm most concerned about. I'm not worried about these other 3. Everybody's hitting on all cylinders, but that Washington game, that needs to be circled because that's the game we need to worry about because that's the game I think that's going to take us to the division. Because Philly should right the ship with who they're playing, which they're playing. Pulling it up right now. They're playing the Seahawks this next week, and they've got the.
That's going to be a tough game for Philly, I think, too. Especially if Geno can get back.
Well, the thing is, though, Philadelphia is at Seattle. Then they have to have the Giants at home. Then they then they have Arizona at home. Then they have to go to the Giants again. So not exactly murder's row for.
No, it's not. But then we need to talk about Tommy DeVito and the way he's been playing here lately. Because if Tommy DeVito keeps playing the way that he's playing, maybe the Giants can sneak one of these games out from Philly. That would be a great help.
They've got a huge QB controversy brewing, I think, this year. I mean, this guy wakes up and gets his bowl of Frosted Flakes from his mom and then heads to the stadium, but just wins. I mean, he's shown more passion, I think, than Dan Jones has. He's also got 5 touchdowns and no interceptions in the last 3 games. Dan Jones has a 5-touchdown game, but he has no 3-game stretch where he has not thrown an interception or 2.
Daniel Jones, we all, any Cowboy fan, when he was drafted, all stood up and applauded.
We did.
They wanted him to be the quarterback for the Giants because we knew, hey, he's going to stink, and we've got them for a few years.
And also, too, think about the round of applause that we gave them when they signed him to the extension.
Yes.
Oh, that was even bigger applause.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I mean, the writing is on the wall. I mean, Look,
Yeah.
I think that Tommy DeVito.
I mean, I feel bad for Dabo, but
for who?
that's what you get for going to the coach of the Giants.
Oh, Daboll, yeah. I thought
Brian
you were talking
Daboll.
about Dabo Sweeney.
Yeah, I thought you were
sorry,
saying Dabo
no.
Sweeney too, and I was like, what?
I'll
How'd he
practice
get up
my
there? I thought he was still in
enunciation
Clemson.
for next week. I'll practice my enunciation for next week. But yeah.
But I mean that the Giants could sneak one out, and not in Philly. I don't think they'll be able to win in Philly, but that last game, that could be one there that could be helpful because you've got Giants, Eagles, Dallas Commanders. There's a lot that could be hanging on that, and these teams that aren't going to make the playoffs could possibly upset one of these teams to help knock them out of better seeding. And Dallas needs to have home field advantage. They need that. They play so well at home, which it's so weird to say that because they were terrible at home when they first moved into Jerry World. I mean, they lost to the Giants.
They lost to the
Eli
Texans
Manning,
on
who
their first game.
rode in there. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost so much, and everyone talked about how Dallas did not have a home field advantage. Everybody was quiet, and they just could not win home because they couldn't. Now they can't lose at home. They have a great home field advantage. And it's just the way things change over time, how things morph from where it is. But yeah,
very true.
That Eagle Seahawk game this week is Monday night.
Critical.
I'm going to be tuning into that game because
there's a lot of important games I think coming up this next week that we'll all
Seattle
be tuning
Seahawk
into.
hat for that game, definitely.
But I think I was like, we know the Cowboys situation right now too. I'd like to say that my team had the most entertaining game, at least.
Your team was very, very entertaining.
Very lucky.
No, it should have been. Yes, I was about to say lucky would be the more appropriate term, probably.
Hey, lucky is sometimes better than good.
Yeah, winning on a punt return in overtime.
I watched that. It was absolutely exciting.
I would have loved to have seen it. Fortunately, we got the Jets and freaking Texans because we're in Texas. But
I loved watching that. We would have loved to see the Jets and Texans because my wife's a Jets fan. So we would have loved seeing that. But
I'll trade you.
I was hoping because I was worried at this point in fantasy, and I have
you got
Flowers
or whatever, Flowers,
and Mitchell. I've got your running back Mitchell too.
Yeah.
So I wanted them to get some more chances to touch the ball, and then of course run back the punt return for a touchdown. And I jumped up and was like, yeah, and I'm like, hey. I needed some more points there, but it was very, very exciting to watch. I watched the majority of that game. That game, basically because the Jaguars Browns game was great as well too. I watched both of those games, and they were both very, very excited to watch and see. And
Joe Flacco, ex-Raven, leading the Browns to
looked good.
Victory.
He looked surprisingly
good.
If he can keep up, I mean, it helps to look good when you've got a defense that's out there just terrorizing offensive line and just running them out, three and out, turnovers. When you have Myles Garrett running down the other quarterback the whole time, it makes your job a lot easier out there because you got time to do whatever you need to. They'll bail you out if they need to. But
I'm gonna go back to the Ravens game here real quick and kind of finish up a little discussion on it because, like I said, I don't think too much needs to be said. Because the only thing is the sloppiness is still there for the Ravens. I mean,
but you are the number one team in the AFC.
You are the number one team thanks to the Dolphins losing that crazy comeback game on Monday night. We also the game was tied 20-20 going into the third quarter, I believe, and then Tyler Linbaum threw a safety, just threw the ball out of the end zone, basically. Safety, so it was 22-20.
Yep.
But
it was 2020 going into the fourth and 22-20.
Yeah. Then Justin Tucker saving us again. on
Even
some
though
of these
you
field
want
goals
him
he
to
got.
retire and go to a nursing home.
I didn't say I want him to
Yes, you
retire.
did.
I'm
You
not
did
ready
say
to
Pretty
send
much
him
what
up
you
north.
said. It's pretty much what
No,
you
I
last
said.
time
didn't.
I checked,
In fact, he is
you
now the
said
most
that.
accurate kicker again. So thank you. After
Oh,
Really,
young
because
Kim
you
or
were
the
wanting to
Falcons
sit in
guy
here to
missed too.
Pittsburgh to the multiple retirement communities that we have here. And
No,
go ahead
I
and
did
pretty
not.
much
yes,
Fuck
you
you
did.
both.
You
Fuck you both. That's
you
bullshit.
said that. You brought
I
in
did
the
say he was having
brochure
it
and
down
showed it
here,
to
and
both
this
of
is also
us.
his lowest career
That's what
average
you
year he's
did.
ever had. So I did say that, and I'll stand by that.
Oh, no,
you were
he's
I
a
did
great
say he
you
should
were
kicker.
pulling
retire.
the
No, he's the
cord. You were
greatest kicker.
pulling the cord and just yanking it out. Like,
No.
that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, you're
Maybe-
trying to Kevorkian Justin Tucker. Didn't work.
That is true.
No. No. Justin Tucker's our guy. He's going to get a statue.
Oh, now
okay,
he's
he's
good.
your
Now he's
guy.
good. Now he's
Yeah.
good. Now
No,
he's good.
he's great. He's great. He's back to what he was now.
Forget
but,
what I
I
said
mean,
about you.
crazy. Yeah, it was a crazy game overall. But I mean, I think both teams had good offense and good defense at times. The Ravens got lucky because their sloppiness was kind of covered up by some good play by Lamar Jackson and Odell Beckham. 97 yards and a touchdown. You might want to pick him up if you don't got him on your fantasy. But Zay Flowers, I think, still had 57 and a touchdown. Although the touchdown by Zay Flowers, I thought might have been called back because when he came up and just lost the ball immediately, I was a little worried. But hey,
No, they gave it to him. He had it.
yeah. So congrats to your fantasy team. They gave it to him.
Well, now
But
let's pivot over to Jeff's team because I want to bring up, as much as you've been Kevorkian Justin Tucker, Jeff was Kevorkian his backup quarterbacks this whole entire
this
season.
is true.
And
This is true.
Jake Browning once again pulling a win
Yeah.
out there and
Yeah.
looking good. Man, what's
Mhm.
up, man? You were so worried. Oh, our biggest deficiency is backup quarterback. We're not going to do anything if Joe Burrow goes down. You're playing better now with Jake Browning.
Do you see that pick six that Jake Browning threw at the end of the first half against the Colts?
I did, but I
I
also
know,
saw
but I
that
saw
they
But it
won
was just
by
like
20
that
points.
it was
Yeah.
14-0. I take a dump, and it's 14-14 thanks to Jake Browning.
He also got
So
you two
that's
more
not-
touchdowns, 275
And
yards.
after that, it was 14-14.
You act like
and
Burrow
then you
never threw a pick
scored
or a pick
20
six before
points.
on you, but He's
but
done
what
it. he
What
did
I
it
tell
against
y'all-
the Ravens.
What I tell y'all about Chase Brown getting involved, what did they do? They got Chase Brown involved, and then he immediately had a huge
Your
impact.
running
on
game
this.
is clicking more because you got the backup in. I'll give you that much. Mixon even got
Yeah, but
79 and a
even
touchdown.
Chase Brown out of the backfield in terms of a receiver, he immediately scored a 54-yard
Chase
touchdown.
Brown did lead the team in receiving with
He
80
had
yards.
over 100
Yeah.
yards from scrimmage for sure.
Mhm.
And once again, Trey Hendrickson as a pass rusher. I mean, what a fantastic contract that was to get
Yes.
the quality of pass rush going.
No, very good.
He already has 13 and a half sacks on the
We
year.
know your defense is pretty good. Now,
And
the back
so-
end could use a little help, but
oh, sure,
that
it
front
can,
end's
sure
great.
it can. And there are
Mhm.
times still where we allow big plays. It helps when you're going against Gardner Minshew, who can't necessarily provide those big plays. And also, too, the Colts didn't really have much of a running game. But
Moss
We're
is
yeah,
surviving.
Jonathan Taylor out, Zach Moss starting that game.
yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
we're surviving at this point. But again, you look at Michael Pittman again. The big play give up is still there, which is still probably going to cost the Bengals a playoff bid. But hey, as a fan, it's fun to watch. It's fun to
and
watch.
bringing it, as you
Oh,
said, with
yeah.
Jonathan Taylor being out, which he was again, that's a conversation for not today, but for later on after the season. Is Jonathan
Yeah,
Taylor ever going
'cause
to be Jonathan
he's
Taylor
leaving the
again?
Colts.
Because he's leaving the Colts, but is he
Yeah,
ever
the
going to be fully
injuries.
healthy again? That's going to be something to have a big discussion
That's
about. is
true.
What can he really command in free
And
agency?
then
But that's
gotta-
a discussion for another day.
Piggyback on injuries real quick too. CJ Stroud's in concussion protocol after his Jets game too, so
Yes,
he may
he
miss
is.
next week too, but we don't know.
What do we make of that? What do we make of the Texans? Do they just are they just they're so young. We're just going to see flashes of great play and then flashes of just.
I don't think that they've
I think their
seen.
defense is okay,
Their
but I
defense
think
needs more players. They need more quality
they
players.
need
which they
depth
will
is what
get.
they need. They have some
Yes.
quality. They need depth. So they're tired as they're running around basically. But the offense, I think you're seeing flashes, but I think you're also seeing people getting tape on CJ Stroud now. They've got a half a season of tape on CJ Stroud, starting to pick up on some tendencies. Because ever since that Bengals game, even before the Bengals game where he had the 5 touchdown game, I think, right before that. Ever since that one, he's gone downhill fairly steadily. And I think you're also seeing the loss of one of his favorite targets in Tank Dell go down, or who went down 2 games ago. So I think you're also seeing that.
Well, Dell went down, but even with Dell going down, pulling it up right now, what his name is.
You still have Nico Collins, who's played.
It's Nico Collins, which he's on my fantasy team. He had a great. I mean, he got knocked out in the first quarter though, so then you're down to no one you're really playing. And really, looking back at the Texans' season, I mean, since week 1 they played the Ravens, which they lost 25-9. But since then, Colts, Jaguars, Steelers, Falcons, Saints, Panthers, Buccaneers, Bengals, Cardinals, Jaguars.
It's a pretty easy start to the schedule there too.
All of those teams, they have not, but since Baltimore, they have not played a team with a great defense such as the Jets. And the Jets, you can say what you want about them, but their defense is that's the cream of the crop.
It is.
That's their
Them
where
and
they
the 49ers and
time.
Cowboys are probably the top 3 defenses in the NFL, right?
They probably are. So coming up against that defense, and you're losing, you lost Tank
Ravens
Dell. Yeah, you did forget about him. But yeah, but you don't have Tank Dell. Then you lose your other number 1 receiver. You lose Collins. I mean, that's going to affect things going down the road. And on top of that, Pierce, their secondary running back, has looked terrible all season long. And he was great last year.
Yeah,
Devin Singletary, who's been leading you rushing.
Another thing that I look at is just think about how impactful the Cowboys or the former Cowboys were on this team. Midway through the season with Noah Brown and Dalton Schultz. They've been completely absent for the past.
And Schultz has been out he's been out 2 or 3 weeks, I think. Schultz has.
Who else has been absent?
He's had targets. He's been there. And also, too, Robert Woods is another one that's done nothing.
He's been on a milk cart all season long.
Yes.
For Houston. And that's not something you need from someone with his caliber. But you started seeing that in Tennessee when he left the Rams.
Yep.
I'm not too surprised about Robert Woods.
Yeah, the reality is now with Tank Dell on the IR, and then as you allude to, Chris, Nico Collins is going to be questionable, and if he does play, he's going to be banged up. So that
CJ Stroud's going to be banged up too.
Well, yeah, and the reality is that at this point they don't really have anyone to throw the football to, and I don't think their running game is very. It's not something that you're afraid of by any means from a Singletary Pierce combination.
Now that O-line is not a horrible O-line too. So I mean,
it's not, but if you don't have the personnel to play behind you, then it doesn't really matter.
The other game I wanted to bring up was the 4:00 game, the Bills and the Chiefs. And of course, this the big controversy all week long.
God.
On both sides.
Yeah, but I watched this live, and we had.
I did too.
Yeah, you're just like, what are you doing? You're an idiot, basically at the end of it. But I mean, I'm not sure. So basically, well, I guess we should say what the controversy is first for those who don't know. Basically, one of the last plays, they should know. Kadarius Toney lines up offside on the ball. Ball is snapped. You see the flag come up immediately on the side. So Patrick Mahomes passes to Kelsey. Kelsey runs down the field, does a great athletic move, lateral, who runs it in for what appears to be the game-winning touchdown, which then, of course, called back because of the offside of Toney. And then the Chiefs throw this huge fit against the refs, saying, "Why didn't you warn him? And you cost us the game. And why did you throw the flag sooner? Because the end of the play was so cool. Why didn't you throw it sooner?" I was like, first off, the ball is snapped. That's when the flag's seen. You can easily see that come up.
Yep.
Tony, I don't understand how you can line up offsides. Now, one of the NFL Network's announcers counted how many times he was offsides. He was offside 5 times. Got called once the last time, but he was offsides 5 times in that game.
And I've seen video of him checking with the official before he lined up, and the official says, "Okay," then that official threw the flag. So that's what some people are fighting with the controversy. But when it comes
supposedly
down to it,
the ref can tell you, but it's not their job to tell you, in my opinion, if you're online.
Yeah.
Now, I've not seen the footage of you right before he got called. I don't know. Maybe that got spliced together with one of the other times he was offside and stepped back. I don't know.
this one he didn't step back. This one came out and it showed him pointing over to the ref and then lining up.
I
This
just
was
saw
the video
him
I
look
saw.
down
So
the
I put up.
line.
But regardless
yeah.
of it, you don't let. They should not have let it come down to that point anyway.
Oh no!
And that all came down to that point because Patrick Mahomes' receivers cannot catch a colt. They can't catch anything. Wide open passes.
This is the
all
second game now.
long.
Tony
They
himself
drop
has
everything.
cost them.
Yes.
Tony cost them the Lions game, and then went on suicide watch and shut off his social media from all the shit he was getting off of that game. So I think this might be why they're yelling at the refs, is to try to take away something from Tony.
Well, they can yell at the refs all they want to. It doesn't matter because no one's catching the ball. The only person catching the balls is Travis Kelce, and he even dropped a couple this game. I mean, it was
I even
no
like,
one could catch anything.
There's a Deadspin article with the title, "I'm sorry your wide receiver is a moron, Patrick Mahomes." And it's talking about this exact thing. I was just like, what the hell? Because, I mean, there's a lot of announcers that are looking up, too. It's like, one of them, one of the wide receivers to the network was like, "I've never lined up offsides in my life. It's easy. You just look. If the ball's right with you, that's a problem. You should be looking up at it, not across to it or behind it. That tells you where the hell you are. So just step back."
Well, there's a reason Tony got let go by the Giants. Why they got rid of him. There was a reason.
Not wrong there.
But at the same time, you put this reason of poor receivers back on the general manager, who they decided to pull what Green Bay did with Aaron Rodgers, where they said, "Oh, we've got such a great quarterback. He's going to make everybody good. He's going to make every receiver good." And that's
also,
Green Bay
don't forget
did.
about the tackles that are now on the Bengals, Orlando Brown, because they decided to let them go too. So Patrick Mahomes is running around a lot more now too.
Exactly. When you give so much money to your quarterback and you want to have them right there, he can't make everyone
Patrick
else
Mahomes
without
is
having
on
other
the
people
low schedule now. I'm not gonna say that's Patrick Mahomes getting more money than everybody else. He signed for what's a good deal.
I'm just saying that when you were trying to save money and cut these other places, you start seeing these great quarterbacks looking more exposed. It happened to Aaron Rodgers. It's happening now. It happened to Brady at points. It's happening now to Patrick Mahomes because he doesn't have the quality receivers. You can say whatever you want about Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is dominating over there in Miami.
Yeah.
You know what would Mahomes kill to have him back? Just to have somebody he could launch the ball up to while someone's barreling down on him, and he knows he's going to outrun everybody.
So he doesn't have to throw to a triple team Travis Kelce.
Exactly, because that's the only person he has on his team that he knows will catch the ball consistently, even if it is covered in triple team. He knows he's going to at least catch it, or at least make a better attempt on it. But that's the thing is, because of the general manager not bringing more players around now, whether it's because he had to because of money
the fact
reasons,
that he had to
I don't
stand
know
off
why.
Chris Ford too. I mean, imagine where this defense would be without Ford rushing the QB right now. It would be a black fucking hole. It'd be like the first game the Chiefs played this year when he wasn't there.
It was terrible. And that's the thing is that you can't just have a great quarterback and hope that everything else works out well. You have
especially
to put
when you
into
don't
other
have a
reasons.
running back, an O-line, or a wide receiver, like you said.
When you only have one option to throw to, and you have Travis Kelce, and that's it. It doesn't matter that he's dating Taylor Swift. That doesn't help out on the field. That doesn't get the defense is going to go, oh, he's dating Taylor Swift, so we got to guard everybody else open so everybody can celebrate. No, No, get out of here with
Mhm.
that nonsense. You've
Yeah.
got to get. They're not. They are not going to win the Super Bowl this year with the team that they have. They can't. They're just not going to. There's no chance with it. They need more weapons, and they let all their weapons walk away because they didn't want to pay them, and they wanted to bring in cheaper guys that they thought Patrick Mahomes will elevate them. Patrick Mahomes will elevate them. They'll become better. Yeah, everybody said that about Aaron Rodgers too, and he didn't win another Super Bowl after that for Green Bay. So
Yeah. That's
people don't learn. You've got to keep good talent around for these quarterbacks to get the ball to. They can't do it all on their own. They're not. It's not going to happen. They're not going to. They're going to make some guys better, but they're not going to make everyone like heads and tails better. Like you're not going to take Kadarius Toney and make him Tyreek Hill. You're not going to. That's not going to happen. He's going to get Patrick Mahomes has gotten more out of him than what Daniel Jones ever did. But you're only going to get as much as you can get from him. You're not taking that lower tier player and turn him into a higher tier player. That's what these GMs, I guess, are thinking by trying to save some money. That's not going to happen. It's not.
yeah.
They are
Right.
who we thought they were.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, also too, this goes back to, this is not how it was when we were, little kids in the 90s, to where once you had a dynasty, you can have it for, 12 years anymore. The way the cap is, the way contracts are nowadays, it takes a lot of creativity from your front office to not only be creative with contracts, but also to be superior in talent evaluation. And I feel like the Chiefs have been decent in some aspects, but not others. I mean, I don't think their defense has a whole lot of depth. Obviously, from a receiver standpoint, they've failed tremendously. Also, one thing I wanted to bring up, a couple things. One being the first, and I this goes
Well,
back.
one is the first, so go for it.
I said one. Fucker. So I thought this was inappropriate by the official Carl Jeffers after the game. He said, I'm just reading an article from Pro Football Network. Official Carl Jeffers also commented on the matter during the post-game pool report. This is in reference to the Toney play, saying that offensive offsides is something officials, quote, don't want to be overly technical on. Jeffers says, but when in his alignment, he's lined up over the ball, that's something we're going to call as offensive offside. If they look for alignment advice, certainly we're going to give it to them. But ultimately, they're responsible for wherever they line up. And certainly no warning is required, especially if they're lined up so far off sides where they're actually blocking our view of the ball. We would give them some kind of warning if it was anywhere close, but then this particular one is beyond warning. If it's egregious enough, it would be beyond warning. That's a fucking problem to me, because so you're going to give a warning if it's not egregious enough, but then if it's still a penalty, if it's too far, you're not going to give them a warning.
Well, yeah,
that's a problem.
They should be looking down at they need to look down at the ball, open their eyes. They are professionals getting paid millions of dollars.
They
look down that line and see
what
that
but or something. They're like, just take a toe back.
But that's not the rule, though. I mean,
it's not, they shouldn't be giving anybody warnings. Let the fucking receivers line up where they are.
That's my fucking point. Is that why are you giving a rule if someone is slightly offsides, giving them a nudge? But if it's too egregious,
that's probably the NFL telling them keep the game going.
But you should not say that publicly.
I agree.
You should not say that publicly.
You should not. And also, like I said, he was lined up 5 times that entire game.
Everyone already knows.
They should have called it more.
If it is an official,
hold on a second, Jeff. Hold on.
If the
NFL wants to make this a point of interest, why didn't they call it any of the other times? I'm still saying they made the right call against Toney with his foot over the line, but they should have called it more.
But if there were,
they have been called it more this year than they have in the last 2 years.
But it's usually a deep offensive line.
How come they didn't call them all 4 other times? That's my point.
Yeah, and I'll give refs
Because
humans. They may have missed
it-
some of it, but
it comes down to the human
No.
aspect. It comes down to the
but
human
it was
aspect.
stupid to admit, like Jeff
So
said, and they should not be giving warnings at all. If you're off fucking sides, you're off fucking sides.
Or
You're too
give a
stupid to
warning
line
every
up for the
time.
ball.
So, and also another
That's
thing
The
too.
reason why they don't is because it keeps the game moving. You're not throwing flags every 2
Yeah,
seconds.
that would be the
Yeah.
only thing. Well, if we got that many dumb receivers, that's another problem to address.
And also too, Caleb, I don't know if this is another thing that I wanted to bring up as well, is that John Harbaugh, when the Rams scored a touchdown, he knows, as do the refs know, you cannot challenge a scoring play because it's already automatically reviewed.
I forgot about
And he
that
goes
also,
ahead
yeah.
and challenges it anyway. So
Well,
so
I'm not
should the
saying he's
refs,
the
but you
brightest.
can't. No, what I'm
Yeah,
saying though
they let
is
him
it the
pick it
ref's
up.
responsibility to? So they did pick up that flag.
Yeah, they said you can't do
No,
that.
okay,
They picked it up.
but you can't do that. But then
They
for
should
Tony,
have charged us a
but for
timeout.
Tony, you see it, you can't do that. So where's this line here? Please give me a freaking line to where
You're gonna have to
the
go
refs
back to
give
the catch
advice.
rule at this point. You're gonna get this. What's
And when you're
egregious?
gonna
Is
get
a
a
toe,
penalty.
a pinky toe egregious? Is a big toe egregious? If your whole foot's over the line, do we just say, "Well, f you, hope you move back"?
Yeah,
It's the
you
same
just
thing as
cannot
it-
have this.
Do you want
ambiguity.
robots? Do you want robots out there officiating these games? Do you want
No,
robots
no.
officiating baseball?
I'm
There's
not
going to
saying
be some
that.
human element that comes down to it.
But
This
this
is
is
what
not
it is.
human element. This is not human
Yes, it
element,
is.
though.
That is
No,
human
it's
element of when
not.
they can
No.
determine what's egregious or not. That comes down to the human element, their judgment.
Okay, but going
as an
back to
official.
this Harbaugh deal, the refs know the rule, but then they
So
they
what does
say
that have to do?
you can't do no. But they did know the rule, and they told Harbaugh you can't do that. But they could have easily let him get a personal foul for throwing that challenge flag
And taking
They
away our
decide not to
timeout.
do it and taking
And
away
once
their
again,
timeout.
It
But they
comes
didn't do
down
it.
to the
They didn't do
official's
it.
decision.
But they called
Different
they
games,
called that
different
for
officials.
Tony.
That is the human
No.
emotion. I don't know why you're arguing
Different
with him on
games,
that. It's the
different
human
games,
element
different
there.
emotion, different games, different
That's not
officiating
human
crews.
element. That's not human
True.
element.
Yes, it is. It is when it's different
I
officiating
mean,
crews
is it
who are judging
right?
things
No,
on
they
different
should
ways.
throw the flag on Harbaugh. They should throw the flag every time a receiver's offsides, in my opinion, too. I don't care if it slows down the game.
But why they not?
If you're
Because then
that
you're gonna
stupid
get-
to line up
Give me a reason
offsides,
why.
get
Give
the
me a
fuck out of the
reason why.
NFL.
Give me a
Because
reason
you're
why
gonna-
they didn't throw on Harbaugh.
Because you're going to get complaints. This is why. This is
There's
why.
no-
Listen, you
On the
let me
You're gonna
talk.
get
Harbaugh play,
complaints.
on
You
the
let me
Harbaugh
talk.
play, there's no.
No.
Outside.
Do not know. Don't interrupt me when you ask me a question and I'm trying to tell you an answer. Don't sit there and cut me off. I'm trying to tell
Go
you.
ahead.
I'm talking. Okay. The reason they don't throw flags on every
Fancy
other little
pants
thing, and I don't know about the Harbaugh, but the reason they're not throwing the flags like as they did with Tony on the 4 other times is because you're going to have an uproar from the fan base of there's too many flags. The refs are controlling the game. Let the guys play. How many times have we heard that? How many times have we said that ourselves?
I mean,
Let the
it
guys
doesn't help
play.
that the officiating has been bad this year. There's been
It
a
has
lot of
been bad.
stupid stuff.
There have been years up and down. They've got a lot of new officials that are coming in. You're going to have those times where you have officials learning how to officiate the game. That's part of it. Some years are good, some years are bad. You play through it. What it comes down to is you don't put yourself as a team in a position where you let an official's call ruin the game for you.
Yeah,
Don't put
that's
yourself in a
true.
position that you let the officials lose the game for you. If they would have caught balls earlier and caught touchdowns earlier, like they should have, they wouldn't have been in the position they were in to let this call.
Well, they were also down
back
14-0
game.
near
They
the
were,
end of the
but
first
also-
half.
They
also,
were, but they
too-
dropped a lot of passes that could have helped get them into the end zone that would have
Sure.
kept that game closer. You let yourself get into that position that you let one call by the officials affect the game, where
I
you
would
could have
say,
changed
though-
the outcome earlier by your poor play.
I would say though, if there were truly, further calls where they didn't call that, maybe if they called one of those or two of those on Tony, maybe the last play of the game, where they had that miracle play, maybe he would have.
I agree with you. They should have
perfectly
thrown
on
those
time.
flags on him,
So
but
that's my point.
for whatever reason, they didn't. I mean, maybe they
That's
missed
why I
it.
have my opinion, because I grew up playing
I don't know.
basketball and I reffed basketball, and it's extremely hard to officiate
Yeah.
basketball. You're gonna
I
miss
guess
things.
Well,
Kids I
baseball,
officiate all the
basketball are
time, like,
so
how'd
fast
you?
usually. You're like, what?
I know that. Yeah, exactly. But the kids would be like, "Well, how'd you miss that? How'd you miss that?" I was like, "Because I'm trying to watch absolutely everything up here. Things are gonna get missed. Just play the game and quit complaining. Quit looking for a foul call. Quit looking for a flag. Quit looking for a penalty. Go out and play the game and beat the guy, and
Yeah.
let the cards fall where they fall. If you get out there and you're the better player and you're the better player even on that play, then you're going to succeed. Don't sit there and look for too many players in all sports are too busy looking for the
Well, that's
penalty
why you
flag.
see the
Quit looking
linemen
for the
throw their
call
hands up every time they
every
get
single time. How come every receiver after they even when they go out and shove off the defensive back of the ball goes away, they go up arms up looking for the flag. Everybody's looking for the flag. Get out there, be the best
Mhm.
player, and quit looking for the official to take care of the
Oh,
game.
I
Go out
agree
there
with
and
that.
play the game and officiate. And go out and work your game plan. Take care of the game the way you planned to do, and don't worry about the officials. Every coach has said that.
Right.
Quit worrying about
But-
the officials. Officials aren't playing the game. You are.
Yeah, the thing I have an issue with is I don't necessarily mind missed calls. It's when you pick and choose to call penalties. That's what I have a problem with, and that's what
Yeah,
we
then get
saw
onto the coach for getting out
twice
there and
in
going
one
to it.
weekend.
Players
That's
should
what
be
we
out
saw
yelling at
twice
the
on one
officials.
weekend.
The players should be out yelling at the officials. Let the coach go out and do it. That's what the coach paid to do. The coach is the one that's supposed to go out there and handle things with the officials and talk to them and yell at them and do whatever else. You see that in baseball all the time.
Yeah.
Just to jump sports around. But you see that there, that's what the coach's job is to do, is go handle that. Players go out there and play the game. Don't worry about what the officiating is doing. Don't even say hi to them and then hand the ball. That's it. You don't need to say have any other interaction with them. Leave them alone. Don't talk to them. Just play the game. Quit worrying about what the officials are doing. And if it's a bad call, it's a bad call. Guess what? That's life. It happens.
Mhm.
Life's not effing fair.
Right, life's not fair.
You're gonna lose. But if you sit there and all these people are like, "Oh, this is the reason they lost the game," no, they lost the game because their wide receivers can't catch a cold through the entire game.
Yes,
This is not
their
the
receivers
reason
have
why you
cost them
lost.
so many games.
Yes.
Yeah, I just think, I'd
not this one
expect
call.
more from Patrick Mahomes, in all honesty, for a guy who has two MVPs and 2 Super Bowls, and you're just gonna fucking lose it that bad on the sidelines.
Well, that's
So that's another
that
story.
was frustration. That's frustration with his receiving core.
Yes,
How is
I
that
told you the
frustration?
exact same thing too on Sunday, Caleb. When we're watching that game, it's like
Yeah.
he's doing that as a service to his team, bitching about the refs, but it's really
He
gotten to
took
the
the
point
heat.
where he is
He's
fucking
out there
pissed
taking the
at
heat.
his receivers
And he took
and
the
turning
heat
into the
so no one else on the team would take it. He jumped in front of the spotlight. He took the shot so that no one else would take it. So the story would be on him. So no one else. So everybody quit talking about Tony. They would talk about him losing his shit.
Well,
right.
I know that.
Considering Valdez Scantling on
And
2
also blaming
consecutive
it on that.
primetime games has got his ass reamed by the public. So
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
That's true too.
I'd say we could talk about the worst game in the entire season of Vikings 3, Raiders nothing. But honestly, I don't really care to talk about that
I'm
dumpster
good.
fire of a game.
3-0.
But
no,
we'll go. I think
punt, interception, fumble, punt.
we had a good banter there, and we're going to take just a quick break, and we'll be back talking about week 15. And welcome back from the break as we're ready to jump headfirst into week 15. Got done talking about week 14, so time to move on to the future. And
big week
coming up here, it is. Now, one game I'll be skipping is Thursday night, Chargers Raiders. That is going to be complete dumpster fire. Don't really care to watch that game. I did, however, in fantasy pick up the Raiders defense because Justin Herbert is now going to be out for the season with his getting surgery on his finger. So the Chargers already looking bad at 5-8.
Brandon Staley,
They're done.
Nice knowing you. Well, going fishing, have fun.
How's he not been fired already? How's he not been fired already?
I think they're trying to say we're a stable organization. They're going to fire him at the end of the year.
They're going to wait till the end. Him and Ron Rivera will be out on the riverboat, fishing here by the end of the season. So I will see that happen.
The enemy as well, joined by both of them.
I think that'll happen there as well. A lot of different. There are some good games that are going on. Some games that are really going to impact and
just the biggest ones, most likely.
Definitely. Definitely for seeding. I mean, some of the games are like, it's going to be teams that, like, the Chiefs are going against the Patriots. This should be a rebound for the Chiefs here. But the main reason I bring up this game is the report that came out yesterday that it looks like Bill Belichick's reign of terror is over at the end of the season.
That is the latest report. At the end
of the season, that he's going to be going down. Now, is for that to get leaked here this late in the season? The report is there. We'll see if it actually does happen. I don't know. Kraft, you figure if he was going to go ahead and just do it, maybe you just let him retire.
Or you just let him walk away. One of the two.
He doesn't. Well, that's the thing, is that I think he'd rather him just retire and walk away. Yeah, but I don't think he's done.
Yeah, that's what Kraft would believe. Yeah,
I don't think Belichick feels like he's done. And maybe this is the pressure of, hey, I don't want to have to fire you. We leaked this, and you'll just go ahead and quietly walk away, and I don't have to fire you. Then
I feel like he doesn't want to be like everyone. Just be like, oh, he had no success in Cleveland. He only had success when he had Tom Brady.
So that's the reality, Caleb.
I don't think Kraft wants to be the guy to say I fired him.
Right.
Well, it's like the original owner of the Cowboys before they got sold to Jerry Jones didn't want to be the guy to fire Tom Landry. That was part of the purchase.
Didn't want to fire Landry.
No. Tex Schramm said I will fire Landry. I will take care of it. He was my guy. And Jerry Jones said, no, I'm the owner of the team. I will do it.
That's also true.
Yeah, that's what happened. Tex Schramm offered to fire Tom.
He didn't want to be that guy.
He asked Jerry Jones. He said, hey, are you going to move forward with Tom Landry? He goes, no, I'm not. I want to move forward with a different coach. And he goes, okay, do you want me to be the guy to fire him because he's my guy? I can do it. And Jerry goes, no, I'm the leader of the new team. This is my team now. I will be the bad guy. I'm making the decision for it. So,
all right, well, let's move forward then. So, I mean, I think Belichick is going to go and he's going to coach somewhere else. He's going
There's
to.
a lot of rumors about him going to Washington.
If they let him go, he's going somewhere else.
There's a lot of rumors of him going to Washington. Yeah, Washington wants him bad. And I would not be surprised if that be where he landed up.
So, I mean, in my opinion,
go 5-8 with Sam Howell.
Kraft said, don't laugh at yourself.
I can do what I want. I'm in control of the board.
The Kraft said, like, hey, look, I'm going to ask you to resign. And then Belichick, if he says no, it's just like, okay, then I'm going to fire you. And so I think my gut is that this conversation either took place, if not this past week, maybe as far back as the international game they had with
from the reports I saw was when they lost in the international game is when this decision was made.
Right.
That's when this decision was made, is the reports that I have seen. But
and my assumption would be is as far as who they would hire, my gut tells me is that they would go ahead and hire Mike Vrabel to be the coach of this team. Reason being is because he's at kind of a standstill here in Tennessee, and I think he's a solid coach. They're kind of.
But he'd be a standstill in New England at this point too.
We did because he played.
No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't.
Oh, how would he not be? How would it be different?
Because
he's got a shitty QB, run game.
Because he's going to have the first or third pick in the draft.
Well, not if they have to trade for him, because he's still currently employed. They'd have to trade for him.
They're not going to. No, that's not. It's not.
It's not saying they don't want him, but
they're good. They're going to bring Jason Garrett out of retirement and bring him in. That's what's going to happen. Put it on the board. Put it on the board.
No,
clap the whole time. Just the whole time.
What's going to happen is Vrabel's going to come in, and then they'll get their quarterback of the future, and then they'll see what happens. That's all. That's all that's going to happen.
They're gonna have to, Titans are gonna have to let him go.
See
first,
how that
but we'll
goes.
see.
We will see how that goes.
Or
anyways,
you
this-
can trade Belichick for Vrabel, Belichick to the Titans, and then they'll go 2-10.
Maybe they'll do that. Who knows?
It's possible. Be interesting to see if you could do that. But
Well, this is the first week of the Saturday games. There are 3 Saturday
Yeah.
games. They'll be starting out with your Bengals and Vikings. Nick
Mhm.
Mullins making his start there. They're already benching Dobbs now after this, dumpster fire of
the
a game against
magic of
Vegas.
Dobbs. Yeah.
So Nick Mullins getting the start there against the Bengals in the early game. Anything you want to bring up about your Bengals there against the Vikings?
It's just really bizarre. I mean, these teams are both in extremely similar situations that, they both lost their quarterbacks. They're two teams that somehow have winning records. They're like chickens with their head cutting off.
What do you mean somehow? Because you're back, your great backup QB play. That's how you
Yes.
got your winning record.
That was your biggest fear.
You are way
beginning of
more
the year.
stable than the Vikings as far as that QB situation goes.
Absolutely.
No, we're not.
Yes.
Jake Browning looks like Cooper Rush from last year.
Yes.
Yeah, and the thing is Cooper Rush got cut, and on 25 other teams, at least, if
Yeah, but
not
they signed him
28
back.
others, Jake Browning would have been cut. So what I'm saying is that these teams are very similar in identity. My assumption would be is that you have the Vikings at home. Logan Wilson is still very healthy. Jermaine Pratt, Dax Hill, our linebacker safety core is still healthy, so we're able to tackle well. And again, the issue's going to be, as it's been all season long, is just the ability to prevent big plays. However, when you're going against a team like Minnesota, I don't think there's any big play options anymore because I don't think Justin Jefferson.
Jordan Addison is the only one that's
Only
good
one.
to
Jordan
possibly
Jefferson's-
get you. But
Yeah,
like I say,
Jefferson-
I disagree with you, Jeff.
Justin
These are not
Jefferson
very
is probably-
similar teams. Yeah, just Jefferson. The
Time out.
Bengals
Time
are
out.
just
Time
better.
out. Time out. UNLV just won.
Okay, I'm happy for them.
Number 8 upset.
But the best thing
Number 8
about it
upset.
is the
Anyways.
Bengals
Okay.
are way better offense. You've got a better receiving core right now. You've got a better QB starting this game. You got a QB who's comfortable in the system now, ready to go.
Mhm.
You have a running game where they've got Madison right now for the Vikings, who can't do jack either.
Nothing.
The only way you guys are similar is in your defense. Both of them are still decent defensive teams, but you are the superior defense. So y'all should win this kind of going away, I think.
I mean, I think the ideal result would be to have a scenario to where it's similar to the Colts game of Sunday.
It's gonna be exactly similar to the Colts game. If you don't win this game by
I
20
agree with
points,
that.
Well, the problem
agree
is,
with
is the fact that I don't think the Vikings are necessarily going to gift as many points to the Bengals as the Colts did last week. So I think the key will be is establishing a running game, Jake Browning not making mistakes, throwing the ball, and just limiting any kind of big play explosiveness that the Vikings have, which, quite frankly, they've had no ability to do.
I mean, I still think that they're going to rack up some points, and this can be very close to about what it was with the Colts, just because, yes, the Vikings, as you said earlier, that the Vikings shouldn't give up as many points as the Colts did. However, I think because of having a new starting quarterback, having the deficiencies in offense that Caleb brought up earlier, that it's really that offense isn't going to stay out and have sustained drives. It's going to wear this defense down, which I think Cincinnati's going to be able to really exploit later on. And actually, a lot of those points are going to come in the third and fourth quarter with that defense being so tired. But let me go ahead and jump on to the
As
next
Jeff
game.
said, though, get Brown involved. Sorry, go
Exactly.
ahead.
Get Brown involved. But we'll go ahead and go over to the next, really first big game of the day, because the 1:00 game Saturday games are, there's not much going on there. At the
No.
4:25, Cowboys Bills in Buffalo, and
the
man, I
afternoon
wish I
game.
could just drive the 3 hours up to Buffalo to go watch that game.
Yeah, sit and freeze your butt off while you do it. But
I'm already
oh,
freezing my
man.
butt off here with a balmy 28 degrees. So
Ah, nice.
you're up north, that 28 isn't too bad, but
I was
Right.
about
down
to say
south.
that's nothing at this time of year. You're
How do you
used
think
to-
I said it's balmy?
I know. I'm just saying.
It's not like when my
Yeah.
brother-in-law in South Dakota goes, yeah, it's a balmy 8 degrees
So,
here.
I'm gonna make a quick projection for the Cowboys here. Bland gets his 6th pick 6 off Josh
Oof.
Allen.
That I could see happening.
To extend the record and put it out of reach for the foreseeable future. I don't see this team getting a sack though, because of Josh Allen's legs. But it could happen. But I think
Well, if he
Dallas,
does get the 6th here, then I'll say he'll get the 7th against Tua and really put it out of reach against Miami the next week.
that's highly
If
possible.
he gets the
yes.
6th, yes.
But man, I mean, the Bills are just fighting for their lives. I'm hoping the Cowboys don't have a letdown game coming into this one, because it is winnable. But I don't know, man. I'd be worried about this Bills team.
I think at this point, if you're Dallas, you would be rather dumb to have a letdown going into this, because you just
Well, hasn't that
Because-
been their MO? McCarthy's MO?
well
Be
not in
dumb
the,
at least once or
and-
twice a
and-
season.
well, but not in December, because you came off a huge game against Philadelphia. I don't care what Buffalo's record is right now. This is a game you circled at the beginning of the year being a big game, and I know Buffalo's record is only 7-6 right now, but I tell you what, I think this Buffalo team still has a chance to make it to the Super Bowl out of the AFC at this point.
I mean,
Well,
Just based
they're
on
you were
gonna
just
need-
poo-pooing them last week, and now you're like, they can make
Buffalo-
the Super Bowl.
Buffalo needs to win this game to have a chance to get the Super Bowl, and it's going to be really
Yeah.
hard. What we need to see is, will Micah
Well,
Hyde be on the field? Because with his injury going down last week, that was something I thought really was going to affect them there against Kansas City's offense. Apparently it didn't. But they need Micah Hyde. He is the soul of that defense. If they do not have him out there on the field coming up against this red-hot Dallas offense, that's going to be something to say without him back there quarterback in the defense. He's one of their best
That'll be
players.
a big
and-
one. Yeah, because he allows Micah Parsons to be as flexible as he is, I think, too. Like I said, he's the QB of the defense. Micah Parsons can just worry about rushing to get lined up. He doesn't have to try to
It's
be
not
the
about
captain.
Micah Hyde.
Micah-
of the
Micah Hyde,
Bills.
not
but-
Malik Hooker. Micah Hyde's
Sorry,
for the
my
Bills.
bad. Whoever.
Yeah. I wasn't
Whoever
talking
I'm
about Malik
talking
Hooker.
about. I mean, like, yeah,
He's talking about the Bills.
we weren't
The
talking about
Bills.
hookers. Hookers.
No.
What?
No.
Okay, my bad.
No, we're not
Either
talking
way,
about
The
Hooker.
matchup predictor has this
No.
one pretty much at 50-50 on the ESPN app, so it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it does.
And I'm also interested to see if the Bills do get out to a 14-0 lead like they did against the Chiefs. Is Mike McCarthy's game plan that slow, methodical march down the field? Is that going to be enough to win this game if they fall behind early?
Well, first off, I'm going to argue that point. I think, the past few games, I don't think there's been anything slow with this McCarthy offense whatsoever. I think it's.
I
been
mean,
rather
he's still very.
fast-paced.
The problem is he's divided the plays in run and passing.
Oh,
They just
okay,
actually have
but just
runs
because
that
you
actually
run
do
the okay,
the
but
runs
just because
didn't
you
do shit before, but now they are.
okay, but just because you run the ball doesn't mean that you're moving the ball slow.
It
So
takes
I think-
time.
Okay, but I think the pace is still there, and I think the difference between the Cowboys and the Chiefs right now is that the Cowboys have the talent, whether it be running the ball or throwing the ball, or whether it be their offensive line performance to execute any play they want to. The Chiefs don't have the ability to do that right now, so it'd be really hard to envision the Cowboys being down 14 points unless if there were self-inflicted wounds. Now, if there were,
also, I believe Dallas's defense is superior to Kansas City's defense.
Oh, yes,
in every way possible.
Because Chiefs have one man, is Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's no one else on that defense.
Yeah.
As when we can look at the Cowboys, I mean, they're pretty loaded on defense right now.
Oh yeah, no, you're loaded.
It also too, and still, this happened in the KC game. And if this happens in the KC game, I'm pretty confident this happens in the Dallas game. Is that Josh Allen right now will gift you a play. He will gift you a play, and it's just going to be a matter of whether or not you can take advantage of it or not. The Chiefs did. Most teams have. That's why they're 7-6 right now. However, with the Chiefs, with their lack of weapons, they didn't win the game. But I think if Josh Allen makes a mistake and if Dallas doesn't turn the ball over, they win this game. It's as simple as that.
Well, Josh Allen is going to make mistakes. I mean, he's got 14 interceptions already on the year.
He's the leader
That's not even talking the fumbles. And if
Yeah.
you make a mistake and you turn over the ball to this defense, they're going to either get you in a bad position or they're going to score on you. They've proven that they've proven that since Dan Quinn has taken over this defense. That's just what's happened. Just looking over the stats from both teams. All right, you've got your passing, rushing, and receiving leaders. Okay, I'm going to go through these real quick. Passing, Dak Prescott. 3,505 yards passing to Josh Allen's 3,447. 28 touchdowns for Dak, 25 for Josh Allen. 6 interceptions for Dak, 14 for Allen. Look at rushing. Tony Pollard,
Don't forget
790
that's fewer attempts for Prescott too.
True.
To get to more yards.
312 to 318. Tony Pollard, 196 carries for 796 yards, 5 touchdowns. Cook, 163 carries for 789 yards and 1 touchdown. Receiving yards, 96 receiving yards, 96 receptions for CeeDee Lamb for 1,253 yards and 8 touchdowns. Diggs, 87
we know this team is
for 993 for 8 touchdowns. So, I mean, stat-wise, even they're leading
pretty dead even
as far as that goes. Exactly. Now, a lot of that comes from being at home, and they've had that record there at home. But
you know what's going to be interesting for me, and I'm probably one of the few people that even looks at this, but I cannot believe how Jake Ferguson overnight has turned into just like a mini Travis Kelce. I'm not saying he is Travis Kelce, but the plays he makes, it's just like, I never saw this at Wisconsin when I saw him play there.
It's
like,
Dak.
This is
effect.
amazing.
everything you've heard is
baby.
his mentality is that he is going to go out there and lay his shoulder down to somebody, and that he's a dog when he gets after it. He's the first guy when somebody comes up and pushes on one of his teammates. He's the first one over there defending him. And that's what you need from a tight end. That's what you want.
Right.
He's
And
got
so
a little bit of
this guy's become a huge weapon for
He truly has.
Dallas. And
Now,
also too,
last year, Travis Kelce even said, "Watch out for Jake Ferguson. This guy's going to show some stuff next year."
And like, I don't know how or what he saw. I'm just like, okay, whatever. But it's true. And also too, I think even though they're not in the same draft, but I kind of compare these two just in the sense that Dallas had the opportunity to take Dalton Kincaid as opposed to Mozzie Smith with the first round pick. So I have a tendency to compare Jake Ferguson and Dalton Kincaid. And I think Dalton Kincaid has had a fine season.
He's had a great year. He really has.
He's looked really
Once
good.
they put him in the front,
But then Jake Ferguson is just like, I don't know who this guy is, but I really like him. He's really freaking good.
He's the kind of guy you like to see playing tight end, coming out there and lowering his shoulder down, making those big plays over the middle, and moving the ball in the way that he fights after the catch. When he gets hit, he fights through the tackle and keeps moving.
Well, that reminds me of Jason Witten in that regard.
And he got compliments on that on the broadcast of Jason from Collinsworth saying that he gave Jason.
Who's that again? Who's that again? Who gave him
Collinsworth.
those
Collinsworth.
Chris
Who wouldn't
Collinsworth.
shut up the whole game
Chris
saying the
Collinsworth.
Yes,
His name is
he
Chris
said,
Collinsworth.
We know he's a pedophile, and
His name
touches
is
little
Chris
kids.
Collinsworth.
Yes, he touches little kids. Anyways, last thing here before we jump on to the Sunday night game, which is big, is looking at the last 5 games between these two teams. Dallas 5-0 in the last 5 games. Tough ones against Seattle, Philly. These last 2 games, well, not tough against Philly. We thought it would be tough, but it wasn't. But Buffalo 2-3 in the last 5 games, losing to Philly in overtime, losing to Denver and Cincy, but beating the Jets and beating Kansas City. And that's the way Buffalo's been. I mean, they've been up and down. They lost to the Jets first game of the season. They lost to the Patriots already. I mean, I'm still calling. I know this is a game not to overlook. I'm not overlooking them by any means, but I still count this as a win just because I think Dallas's defense is going to handle it. Josh Allen's going to give up at least 1, if not 2 turnovers, which the Cowboys will exploit into some points. But let's go ahead and jump into the other really big game of this coming week, and that's going to be Sunday night with your Ravens going against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah,
The Jaguars
will be the first game everyone cares about. Then it goes into
and this game I'm really interested in looking at just because
the way
Jacksonville played against Cleveland.
It can be. Like I said, I mean, right now the Ravens are the number 1 seed in the AFC. Are they going to stay there? Who knows? Like I said, I mean, they can go 4-0. They can go 3-1 with a win over Miami, or any other team kind of losing there. Now, if we go 2-2 somehow at the end of this, we're going to need another loss by KC, Jacksonville, Cleveland, and 2 losses by Miami. So hopefully it will go 2-2.
Basically, just win. Just win.
Yes, pretty much.
Win,
yeah.
and you're fine.
That
what I said about my fantasy teams. Just win, and nice. I don't have to worry. Just win. Just win.
Now, I think this is the game that seems exciting on paper, but I feel like Jacksonville's is going to be a paper tiger. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is coming off a game where he had 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Kyle Hamilton's getting healthy. Marlon Humphrey's still a little banged up and playing sluggish, but John Harbaugh's backing his guy and say, I don't care, of course. I think this is a game the defense is going to win us, kind of going back, basically, and just be a domination. I think it's going to look a lot like the Colts-Bengals game of last week, actually, to where we are, maybe even the Eagles and Cowboys. That might be a better example because you got 2 teams you think are good going into this, and one of them just shows up and the other one doesn't.
So you're not giving Doug Peterson any credit that he's going to look back at this last game against Cleveland and use that Myles Garrett effect and of what he did to them and try to turn around and make that a benefit against the Ravens.
I mean, he can try, but I don't think it's going to work because I think his QB is going to lead to interceptions. Is the problem, and I think the run defense, while it has given up big plays in the run at times, they've generally shut down run, and they are the number 3 team in rush defense overall for total yards. So, I mean, if you can't run the ball and your QB is throwing interceptions, like I think he's going to, you're not going to have a good day.
True, but I think Travis Etienne should have. He should give them some fits because he is a very good young running back.
He's good, and Evan Ingram is one of the better tight ends right now. He's hot, at least I should say.
Evan Ingram should be better than what he is. He is hot right now.
Yeah,
as of
Lawrence
last week.
and him obviously have a connection right now after these past couple of games, especially last game. Now, maybe that was the Myles Garrett effect where he had to get it out quick. He couldn't throw to Kirk and Ridley. He had to dump it down to the tight end, maybe.
That and Ridley couldn't catch a cold in that Cleveland game. He could not. He couldn't get open. I mean, in some games,
Ridley's also a lot of times be seen double teamed, and I'm not
It is,
discounting.
and
'cause the Browns
Cleveland
have
has
some
very
good
good.
D-backs.
They have very good defensive backs. That's what I was bringing up. They're very strong in the secondary. That's one of their
Yeah,
strengths.
like
It
I said,
absolutely is.
they hang their head on their defense, and they might actually win a few games off of it this year. But yeah, I just see this being kind of a paper tiger match. Hoping the Ravens don't feel that way, because I feel like that may make them overlook it. But to me, that's just what I see with Jacksonville out here. Like I say, I don't think they have a good defense. Lawrence has been turnover prone, unfortunately for him. And then the run defense is what it is. Like I said, they're number 3, I believe, in total yards for rushing. And they're the number 2 total defense now after the Rams game.
Mm-hmm. See, I see this, and I see what you're saying. I agree with you. I do, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here, where
Understandable.
I see Jacksonville can take what this loss from Cleveland and build upon it, because they are still leading their division. They're a division leader, so it's not like they're some slouch. And they need to build on top of that. And Doug Peterson has already proven that in Philly, that he can overcome different things. And I think Trevor Lawrence is overall a better quarterback than
Wentz or Foles.
Than Wentz. Not bigger than Big Dick Foles. Come on.
Nothing.
As they call it there. But
yeah. Now I will
think
caveat
Trevor
your
Lawrence
division winner there with the fact that he's facing Indy, Houston, and Tennessee in that division, and they're leading by
but
one
Tennessee
game.
got the upset win
One
against
game.
Miami.
They did.
Houston,
And I think that's the
Houston
favorable
before this
effect.
last game has been looking scary. And Indy has not looked bad, even with Gardner Minshew. They haven't looked bad.
They've been a decent team. I agree with you.
They've been
Like
a
I say,
decent team.
If you
haven't
think you're just
been-
going to go there and mollywop any of these teams, you're probably going to walk out.
No, you're
with a
not.
loss.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like
But I'm also saying it's not like even the AFC North.
The AFC no, but the AFC South is not as bad as it has historically been. Normally they've been just a cakewalk to go through, and whoever won the division was the one who actually got to 7 wins.
Yeah.
First. That was who's going to win. But it's not like that anymore. I think they have a quality team, and they have a good coach now. So this is, to me, this is their, not to say their Super Bowl, but this is their, okay, we just got worked by Cleveland in Cleveland. We were on the road, we got worked, we showed who we are. This is now, we have a chance to prove against now the number 1 team of who we are. Are we going to stand up and we're going to, like, I don't see this being a Cincinnati Colt game of a 20 beatdown. I don't see that happening. I think there's going to be a little bit more fight. I think there's going to be a little bit more grit to put into this. Now, do I still think Baltimore?
That's what they're hoping
yes, I
by
do.
it being in Sunday night. That's what the NFL's hoping for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's going to be. I'm not calling it the whole paper tiger like you are. I still think Baltimore's going to win this game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than what you're thinking right there. I think it's going to be probably a 3-point game, because I really think that there's going to be some fight coming out of Jacksonville that we haven't seen yet, because this is their testing ground. Okay, maybe they came into Cleveland thinking their shit didn't stink, and then they got a little awakening.
Or they looked ahead at this game and then forgot about the Browns.
Well, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is fully recovered. That's
a possibility there as well too.
Probable.
But I think they probably saw, hey, we're playing old man Joe Flacco. What do we got to worry about from him? And then they got torched because of it. And I don't think they're gonna. I think that if Doug Peterson is the coach that I think he is, that he's going to have his team more prepared now by going, look, you just got embarrassed by Joe Flacco coming off the fucking couch, and you got embarrassed by him. And I think that is a help. Like, sometimes there's a win and a loss. Sometimes there is, and that's the wake up you need. Maybe that's the wake up that they needed. Maybe it is. I don't know. I still think Baltimore's going to win this game, but I don't think it's going to come as easy as.
Now
I think we're going to have a good game. I think we're going to have a really good game on Sunday. And I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to be as sloppy.
I know. Well,
as
as
he
me and
was.
Jeff are drinking our Desperados margaritas, we'll think
Rub
about
it
it
in.
and see how it
Rub
goes.
it in. Rub it in.
No, but
Rub it in.
I just want to make you're just jelly. You're jelly.
I am. I'm very jealous. That's what I said. Rub it in.
Yep.
But going back on that, game, I think I'm not concerned with Jacksonville from an offensive perspective. My concern is, as Caleb alluded to, is from a defensive line and secondary perspective. How do you let Joe Flacco score 31 points? And how do you let Jake Browning and company score 34 points, even when you got a pick six that the Bengals gifted you? So I think there's some serious holes defensively with this Jacksonville team. It is kind of funny that, Olokun and Josh Allen, your linebackers, are your best players on your team, but you have nothing else. You have no defensive line. It wouldn't appear that you have a very consistent secondary. So regardless of, yes, Trevor Lawrence had a very slow start in that Cleveland game, and that's probably why they lost the game. However, defensively, that team is lacking. And so I don't know how Jacksonville's going to be able to stop Lamar Jackson on the surface. So I do like Baltimore in this game. I don't necessarily think it'll be a blowout, because I think Jacksonville can be better, at least from the quarterback position, because I think Trevor Lawrence will be more healthy. But it's going to be hard. It's hard to wrap my mind around the fact that Jacksonville could win this game. I'd be very surprised
if they are able to
I'll
win
play
this
devil's
game.
advocate with you again, Porter. One thing that might happen too in this instance is Ravens are all happy they get the first seed right now after the Dolphins loss. They're looking to the 49ers they've got next week.
Yep.
Or 2 weeks from now, excuse me, because they're going against Jacksonville, obviously. So maybe they say, 49ers, got to get that game. And
even though it's Sunday night, it could be a trap game. It could be. And see, Jacksonville, this is their biggest game.
The Ravens are 5-0 in the past Sunday night football games since back to 2021. So they're undefeated in Sunday night football since 2021, basically.
Well, they also were undefeated in preseason before that happened this year. So
to
rub salt in the wound.
Right.
Jacksonville, if they are able to pull this trap game and knock Baltimore off, they've got a very easy schedule leaving. We got to give credit to them, but then after that, they go against Tampa Bay, Carolina, Tennessee to finish the season. If they're able to do that, they could end up 12-5. That could get them up to the third seed, if not, a little bit higher, depending on what other things happen.
Yeah, depending on how the Chiefs and Dolphins do.
And
even the Ravens, really, if they lose to the Jags.
So to me, that's why even with these two losses in a row, I think we're going to see a Jacksonville team that, hey, we come out here, we beat Baltimore. We come out and play our game, and we beat Baltimore. That's the number one seed. We've got a good way of winning 4 games in a row that if things fall our way, we could come out being one of the top 2 seeds. It's a possibility that could happen. So to me, that's motivation. And Doug Peterson, he's already won a Super Bowl. He got the Eagles their first Super Bowl. You can't tell me that that's not something he's preaching to this team coming in and helping working with Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback coach that he is. Working with Trevor Lawrence on what happened on these 3 interceptions, what happened against Cleveland, how we can help battle with that. I still think Baltimore's going to win this game. But if you're looking for motivation to motivate your Jacksonville team, there's your motivation right there. You knock off the number 1 seed and you win out, you have a chance to possibly be the number 1 seed if things fall your way.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, home field advantage.
There you go.
12-5 is a hell of a record if they get
home field advantage is front of mind on both of these teams for sure. And that's why I got flexed to Sunday night.
Yep, exactly. All right. Well, the last thing I wanted to talk about, just bring up real quick, was the Monday night game. And that Monday night game, Philly in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I will
I think
be
that all
tuned into this one.
depends. Oh, for
This is
sure.
the
But I
first
think
Monday
it all
night game I'm
depends
going
if
to tune into in weeks, in months, because the
so.
Monday
You
night games have been
admit?
terrible.
Well, yeah. I mean, most of
What
the
Bengals
primetime games this year have been
You
horrible.
didn't see the Bengal Jaguars game?
Yeah,
No,
you
I
missed a
kept
great
up with it on my phone.
one.
Or
But
Kept up with it
yeah,
on my
I mean,
phone.
this depends on. I think if Geno Smith's healthy, then I think the Seahawks have a chance. If not, Eagles. This is going to be their bounce back game. I think.
100%. I
be.
mean, I think it's all
It's
contingent
it's all
upon
on Gino.
Geno's health, and also
It's all
too,
on Gino.
one thing that I've kind of gotten to get used to, kind of enjoyed watching, is the productivity of Zach Charbonnet, kind of taking that combination of Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet from the running game of Seattle due to Geno Smith's absence. But other than that, they just, if there's no quarterback to throw to them, then I don't see how they could be productive. Excuse me.
Yeah, if Gino, that's going to be the problem. If Gino is there and Gino's playing, being in Seattle, Seattle has a chance in this game.
Yeah.
That's surprising to say that. Oh, if Geno Smith is in the lineup, you have a chance to win. But that's the way that he's been playing. I mean,
That is
he played
incredible.
very well. He played very, very well against Dallas, and he's proven that there's a reason why they felt comfortable trading Russell Wilson away and giving the reins to Geno Smith, who
And not drafted a
failed
QB
everywhere
this
he had
past year
been.
either.
Yeah, and he failed everywhere he was until he got to Seattle, and he's actually now has he won a Super Bowl for Seattle? No, but he's been playing extremely well for them. In his this is the best he's played his career these last 2 years, and that's
Also, too,
sometimes that happens with guys.
but also too, and again, I don't want to be the guy to overrate things, but you know, especially things that we can't measure, but you know, the leadership aspects and the intangibles that Geno Smith provides to this team is huge, and I don't think, and this team loves Geno Smith. Every player on that team will go through fire for Geno Smith, and so I think that's why they've been able to be as successful as they have been, just even getting into the playoffs with their lack of talent, frankly. So it kind of sucks that he's not healthy right now. And as you said, Chris, he had a fantastic game against Dallas. And we'll see if he makes it for this game. Drew Lock, physically, he has the arm. He has the ability to make all the throws. The problem is, from an accuracy standpoint, it's just not there. It's never been there. That's why he hasn't been able to last long in this league.
And looking at the last 5 games for these two teams, of course, we know Philly's lost the last 2 against San Fran and Dallas, but won the 3 games before that. Seattle has lost their last 4 games. They've gone San Francisco, Dallas, San Francisco, which is a rough stretch for any team.
Yeah.
And then losing to the Rams right before that, and they beat Washington. So if Geno's in, which of course they didn't have Geno last week against San Francisco, but having Geno back would be huge. And if they could get that win on Monday night, knock Philly one more toss down, I mean, I think at that point you're seeing the Philly that we've been talking about, that they're not the same team, and you're seeing the cracks in it. And I think that there'll be full panic in the city of Philadelphia if they lose to Seattle.
Oh, for sure. And also, too, not to bog down on the main point here, but that Seattle loss to the Rams a few weeks ago, that was devastating. They're up 16-7 in that game, and the Rams came back with 10 fourth quarter points. But as you said, Chris, if somehow Philadelphia lost to Seattle, I love every second of it. I hope it happens. And that town will go ape shit, which we're all, yes.
That's what
Fingers
we're all hoping
crossed,
for.
double bird, eagles fly, all of it. So that's what we're
Of course, I
hoping.
kept seeing the guy at the Cowboy game that had the huge sign of Nick Sirianni with red face and tear going, "Cry Eagles,
yeah.
cry." So,
Yep.
all right, well, we've go ahead and covered week 15 pretty thoroughly, so we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be back getting in some NBA basketball here in just a moment. And welcome back from the break. After enjoying a bunch of NFL talk, we need to talk about the other sports that are going on right now. And one of
There's
those
other
is
sports?
the NBA.
No,
There
yeah.
are.
I
There
know.
are. I'm actually watching a little hockey right now as we're doing this. I've got that up.
Even though you hate hockey, Caleb.
Yep.
Caleb does hate hockey.
Just imagine they're chasing an Oreo, as one of my friends said.
I would love an Oreo that size. I would have to say.
I'm not gonna lie, I would too.
Right now, the biggest stories right now are in the NBA, and the biggest one, we want to go ahead and jump in front of that right off the bat. And Draymond Green, as a report coming out today, he's suspended indefinitely,
and he
for the punch
should
that he put
be.
out.
Oh my
should be.
gosh! I
This
mean,
has
there's
been
no
coming
excuse for this nonsense.
well,
Like,
even
just
with the
get out
hit
of
that
the
he did to
interview.
Nurkic, the punch that he laid on him, and if you haven't seen the video, it's easy to find. Go out and look at it.
Yeah,
Completely
elbow of doom,
uncalled
as
for.
I call it. He just
This
got
was
mad the
completely
guy was
uncalled for.
draped on him.
Well, that's the thing, is that him getting suspended, definitely, I think it's more of a story because it's Draymond Green. I think anyone who would have done that would have been suspended for at least 5 to 6 games because
Highly
it was
probable.
blatant what happened.
Yeah,
Being
like I
indefinitely
said, he's
suspended
already. This is a
Draymond.
repeat offender. He's had 18 ejections in the last 2 years, second most of any
Yeah.
player. I can't remember who was first at the moment, but I mean, this is a frequent guy that just flaunts the NBA rules and just doesn't care. He's a little like the Celtics back in the 80s at that point. He'll just fight you for no fucking reason, just to fight.
Draymond Green would have fit well back in those bad boy Detroit
I don't
Piston
know.
80s
It seems
days.
like he needs to get out of the NBA at this point.
Right.
He would have fit in very well in the 80s.
Yeah.
In the
He would've.
80s, he would have survived.
Yeah.
But that's the
Yeah.
thing, is that this is
It
the only
would've
thing
been
he's ever in the news for. You don't hear him scoring 30-point, 40-point games. You don't see him get
Or even
20.
the triple doubles that he did early in
Yeah.
his career.
He's not doing
He's
that.
not
He's
doing
not
that
getting double-digit
anymore.
rebounds. He's not doing multiple assists. No. They need to move on from him. He's done.
He's starting
All
to
he's
become a
worried
toxic.
about-
He's punching his own teammates.
Well, he did that last year.
Yeah,
Which is
sure.
what
That's what I'm
caused them
saying. He's
to-
punched his
yeah.
own teammates,
Caused it,
and now
like-
he's
Mhm.
flagrantly choking and then elbowing people in the head just because somebody doesn't like what you're doing.
No,
Like
Draymond Green
he's becoming toxic, and he needs to go.
he's been toxic.
Oh yeah, I'll say I
been
should. Yeah, let me
toxic for
update
a
that. He's been
while.
toxic.
And it's time that he got
Everything
out
for
of
the
there. And
podcast now.
I think
And honestly,
he's more,
this I think might affect his broadcasting career. 'Cause,
exactly.
I
I
mean,
would think he's been
they're not
so
gonna
focused
touch
on his
him at
that point.
broadcasting
That's a
career.
very good point.
It could, but at the same time, will it? Because people love to see
Man,
dumpster fires, and they would love to see what he
yeah,
says and what he
but
says in his podcast.
I mean, he
They-
says fire stuff. He's one of
He
those
does,
stir the pot just because he can.
and that's one
I
of the
know,
things
but-
that
but
you
the
like
thing
that.
is,
You
though-
like that on media broadcast.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
I mean, I
understand
like
that.
Charles Barkley's churro take on San Antonio women as much as the next person, but he's
Well,
also not been
Charles
the.
Barkley is media gold. He's media
Oh, I
gold.
know. But that's what I'm
He's
saying.
a
There's a
Hall of
difference
Famer,
between that
one of the
and
best players ever seen in
Draymond
my
Green's
life.
hot take, which is usually just him spouting nonsense. Sorry, Jeff, to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just saying that I think it's interesting that the suspension takes into account Green's repeated hit. This is a quote. Takes into account Green's repeated history of unsportsmanlike acts. And you know who made that quote?
Who?
Joe Dumars.
Oh yeah. Speaking of bad boy Pistons.
Who do you think is on those bad boy Pistons teams then?
Yep.
I think it's
the point
Joe
guard
Dumars.
that led those teams.
But the thing is, it's just, you know, it's one thing to be an a-hole. It's one thing to be a tough guy. But if you're just going to be, you know, a menace for no reason, that's where it crosses the line. And there's no need for it. There's just absolutely no need for it.
There's
You're
not.
not.
Now, if this was like in the bad boy days where they went after Michael Jordan, they went after the best player to rough him up, to change the game. That's one thing. That was you playing tough to knock out the best player to get that mental advantage. He's not. It was against the Suns center, Yusuf Nurkic. Who knew who that was? No one knew who that was until he got
Durant.
punched.
That's not Booker.
Yeah,
and that was Bradley Bill's first game back, I believe, too, from injury.
If it would have been one of those three, Bill, Durant, or Booker, okay, I understand. You're trying to get in their head. You're trying to muscle them up, and you're trying to do that. You're trying to do that. No, you're being a thug now, and you're just tired because the guy, as you said earlier, is draped all over you. So you turn around and punch him in the head because you think you can get away with it. But no.
Well, the thing is, you're not even being a tough guy anymore, or a thug. You're just being a dumbass.
You're being a bully, basically.
I mean, you're just like.
That's what he's been his whole career. He was was just like that at Michigan State. He was the exact same way in Michigan State.
The thing is, he got away with it because he was 6'8", going against 6'7" guys most of the time, and then in the NBA now, he's going against taller guys and resorting to violence as opposed to tough defensive play. So it's very sad to see.
When you brought up Joe Dumars and the Pistons, one thing to bring up is their skid. They've hit a 21-game losing streak, which has matched their franchise record.
The Warriors have?
No, the Pistons.
No, Pistons.
Oh, Pistons. Sorry. Yeah. I was about to say, that makes more sense.
There's a 21-game losing streak, and that is just, in the words of Charles Barkley, terrible. TRBL, terrible.
And also, too, the Spurs have increased their losing streak from 17 to 18.
They lost the Lakers.
They're on a historic
without
losing
LeBron.
streak, too.
Yeah, without LeBron.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think
18-game losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
Way to go, Wimpy.
We're moving away from the Draymond Green then. Let me just go ahead and go to this too. I love the fact that the Lakers can hang a stupid ass banner for winning the stupid in-season tournament bullshit, and then get thumped by the Mavericks the next night.
It's their participation trophy.
Oh, I know.
And Adam Silver made him hang up.
Yeah.
He probably did make him hang it up.
Of course he did.
Luka moved up to 15th all-time on the triple-double list last night, too, against the Lakers, passing Larry Bird, and there was another guy he passed, but I can't remember his name now. Because once you hear Larry Bird, you're like...
What's sad is this early in Luka's career, he can score 32 points, have 6 rebounds and 8 assists.
Yeah, 6 rebounds and he had 17 assists last night too.
And you can you can look at that and go,
sure.
32 points, 6 rebounds and 8 assists.
He has the highest scoring triple-double in history.
That's nothing. You can look at that and go, that's nothing. That is how good this man is. That you can look at that stat and go, oh, he's having an off game. That's what's surprising. If he doesn't get a triple-double, I'm like, oh, he's having an off game.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that's the way I felt about Russell Westbrook for a lot of the middle of his prime.
Well,
he's not getting a triple-double.
That's what I'm about to say right now.
Yeah, so he averaged a triple-double for 2 seasons.
So this is the problem, is that what this could be turned into is... Well, he's just Russell Westbrook. He cares about getting his stats. He doesn't care about getting his team involved. The team never
Well, when you
wins.
get 17 assists in a game,
I'm not saying it's fair. I'm
I
just
don't
saying,
even know anybody who
but
says that. I mean,
Oh,
maybe you're
oh,
playing
there-
devil's advocate, but
you don't think there's anyone that gets on
Well,
Russell
obviously there's at
Westbrook's
least
ass? Who
But-
doesn't get? There's tons of people that get on Russell Westbrook's ass.
well,
for
there's
just
tons of
being
people that get on his ass. yeah.
The reason those comparisons have not been brought up is because Russell Westbrook by himself with Oklahoma City did not take that team to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, and he was also by himself, so it wasn't necessarily just stats about himself. He had to do something. He was the only player left out of that big
There was
3-4.
no one else on that team.
Hart's gone,
No
Durant's gone, Ibaka's gone. It was him and Sam Adams.
Steven Adams.
And Steven Adams. Thank you. Sorry, I need a beer apparently.
Sam Adams.
But I mean yeah. So I mean Russell Westbrook's career is kind of being tainted, I think, with his play at the moment. But in his prime, it was, as much as I hate and dislike the player personally, I have to respect him. It was phenomenal what he did.
No, it's not an issue of respecting or not respecting Russell Westbrook or Luka Doncic. It's just the fact that the way that we are in the NBA, or as an NBA viewer sees things, it's all about results. You know, you could have all the stats. Everyone's seen.
What
all
have you
the
done
crazy
for me
stats.
lately?
Exactly. It's all about, at least for
Isn't
me.
that all sports though? What have you done for me lately?
Oh no, I'm not saying that, but just like, the stats are irrelevant at this point. I mean, I don't care what these dudes do at the NBA level. That's why no one watches the NBA until the playoffs, if that. It's because all these dudes they only care about 30 games throughout their 82-game season. And it's all about padding statistics. And that's the LeBron mindset. That's what's ruined the NBA.
I can kind of see it, but I mean,
I
when
can
you got
argue
guys
tomorrow.
like Djokovic and Doncic still out there, I don't think it's permeated through everything. Now, granted, that's the international.
Be honest.
base I'm
Well,
talking
that's
to.
the problem, though. Those are all
Hey,
international
all the best
players.
players-
Those are all international
All the best
players.
players are international right now.
There's a reason
the
for
thing.
that, because that goes back to our lack of preparation in American basketball right now, because we have these stupid ass AAU leagues that suck every 15-year-old's dick, and that may play 1 year in
That
college.
sounds illegal. Like
I know,
illegal.
right?
Like
Sounds
really
like some
illegal.
Chris Collinsworth shit. No.
Exactly. That sounds like Chris Collinsworth illegal.
But no, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But,
But my
before
point
we
is
get on
that-
to the Mavs, though,
Well,
and
hey,
get too
we've
far in
talked
this
about
whole, I'm going to
we've
get
talked
back
about
to the
the bad.
Mavs and give credit to Dante Exum. Or I
Yes.
said his name wrong.
No,
Exum.
you didn't. That's right.
Oh,
You
sorry.
said
I thought I
Dante
typed his name. My
Exum.
bad.
That's
So, I
correct.
mean,
A few weeks ago, I
Feeling
brought
it.
up that I was so happy that they brought him in. I thought that was a very underrated signing. You two shit all over me for it.
Yes, I did.
Yes, you
I
did.
thought it was an
And
idiot.
I said it
he
again.
No,
has.
you're right.
We'll see how it goes.
I'll eat my crow.
Good.
I'll eat.
That's
my
all I
crow
wanted
for-
to hear. That's all I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted to
Yeah.
hear. Because I knew that once he got an opportunity, that he would take advantage. Because I thought he was very underrated. I didn't
already
say he was.
had an opportunity.
I wasn't saying like I wasn't all over him like I am
You're not
about
right
Brandon
there.
Roy, and everybody knows. If you know me personally, you know how much I love Brandon Roy, and how much I love the player that he was, and I
yeah.
love him as a coach now too. I think he's doing
Yeah.
a fantastic
he's
job.
doing
coaching.
good. Memphis is
But-
still up there.
Yeah, but I never thought of him as like Brandon Roy. But I just thought this was a quality
It's Brandon
sign
Roy.
that you
Sorry.
got him for a great price, and you were going to get a quality player out of that once he got the opportunity. And once Kyrie Irving got injured, he stepped in, and he has actually been playing very well these last 3 or 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing. Again, I've ate crow thus far this year on Dante Exum. The only thing that
All I wanted to hear. That's it.
I'm I'm so segments over there. Okay. Yeah, but I just it's the fact that with Dante Exum,
That's the crow you ate.
Oh god. Hey, come on, Tim.
I'm going to murder his ass later. Anyway, I think the issue with Exum has been injury problems. I mean, when you talk about when he came out of the league in 2014 was such a high draft pick. He was told very raw. Then he had the injuries on top of it, and then because of that, and for lack of offensive production, he didn't really fit in Quinn Snyder's system. He just wasn't going to get the opportunity, and so that's why he went back to international level. And I think he can be a really solid role player in this league, but at the same time, I'm very hesitant to say that he's going to be a consistent starter. I mean, I again, I said earlier that would I rather have him over Josh Green? Yes, but then in my mind, that triggers the thought of, well, you have a hole on this team if we're deciding between Dante Exum and Josh Green starting on this team. I don't know.
I never said that he would be a consistent starter. I just thought that he was a great pickup for what you got him for. And to me, him getting this, you know, this success here in the starting lineup, I think can only benefit him later on in building his confidence and getting him back feeling like he's fitting into this system and he's succeeding in this system and getting that working together with Luca that he wasn't getting when he was at Utah. So, yes, as much as I like to say, eat the crow, I'm just happy for the team overall that, okay, he can now help benefit. And this is another weapon that you can put out there that is getting that Luca can trust. Somebody else that Luca knows, hey, I can get this guy the ball and he's going to score. I don't have to worry about not throwing to him because, okay, yeah, he's serviceable on defense, but I know he's going to help contribute with me as well.
And that's kind of what I'm worried about, though, with Exum is whether or not this is just, a handful of, just random good games. I mean, I don't think Exum is worthless by any means, but I'm still a little concerned with the fact that can I really count on him to score?
You're being a Debbie Downer. Just enjoy it. Enjoy it.
I'm just
saying. 3-4 game series. It's a 3-4 game set. He's only been on the starting line for that point, and he's taking advantage of his opportunity, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So
you could say that every time, but that's not going to affect anything.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But also, too, let's just keep in mind
that every party needs a pooper, so it might as well be you.
So the only thing to keep in mind on this is
Mavs are number 3 in the West, too.
Number 3 in the West, and you're being a party pooper. Stop it.
The only thing.
Oh, wait. I know why he's being the party pooper. We all know why.
Yep.
Because
who's number 1?
Where do your Timberwolves sit? Where do they sit?
I don't know. Number 1.
Here it is. There it is.
1.
Surprisingly, number 1. Surprisingly. Craziness.
Number 1.
So how are the Wolves doing it, Jeff? How are the Wolves doing this craziness? Being number 1 in the West? Is it just a down year in the West and they're taking advantage? So I mean, the Mavs I didn't expect to be 3rd right now. I expect them closer
Oklahoma
to
City at 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Denver's 4. They're reigning champs.
So I think and this is bizarre. Look, I had no expectations for this Wolves team. I thought it was going to be like a play-in game Wolves team. So I think what's happened, and I give Chris Finch a lot of credit for this, is just the fact that just play to your skill, play to your identity. Don't listen to the media. Don't say or don't play to what you think the sports writers think you should play. Just play into the roles that you are responsible for playing for.
I think it's also because you have a nice dynamic duo of Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns
Well,
down,
also,
and you've got
I was
a
about to
defender
say,
on the other side with Rudy Gobert in that post.
Well, right, and as of now,
But as you said, coach on that.
And also too, this could change in any minute. At this point, Cat is fully healthy. So when you have a starting lineup of Anthony Edwards, Cat, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, and then you could swap out Jade McDaniels and
Rudy Gobert hasn't
Alexander Walker. Not yet, but and I wouldn't blame him. And also too, in my mind, I think you have a 6-year candidate in Naz Reid. I mean, that dude is so good. He is such a great rim protector. He's able to score points down low as well. He's a great player at LSU. Not like that matters for 6th year of the award, but I'm just saying he has the ability to be productive down low, off the pitch, and provide great energy. And they were only able to sign him, I think, for 3 years, $42 million, which at this stage of the NBA, it's really not
bad.
That big, not a bad deal at all. And also too, I think a guy like Shake Milton, who plays every single night. I remember, and y'all might too, but I certainly remember watching him at SMU playing. He was a shooter and a defender there too, because Larry Brown required that. He made all the shots then. Now he's just required at the NBA level to play defense. But that's someone that's a huge factor for us, as well as Kyle Anderson. Again, another guy that doesn't necessarily score points for us. We don't need it necessarily. We have guys that can score points. We need defense, and we have gotten that thus far. So basically, it's a combination of our core players being healthy, performing their proper roles, as well as our role players stepping up and playing defense. So it's all equated to a great start for us.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, before we go ahead and leave the NBA,
well, I got a couple of things to bring up actually too.
Okay, good. Because there's one thing I wanted to bring up as well. But you go ahead. I'll do mine last.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start out in the East. You got this today. Actually, you had the two highest scoring teams, the Pacers at 1 and the Bucks playing each other. Very crazy game. 140 to 126 Bucks is where that finished. So very entertaining game. Franchise record for the Greek Freak, 64 points. So props to him on that one. And apparently he almost got in a fight with the Pacers bench too, because somebody was talking some smack to him at the end of the game.
Almost another mouths at the Palace?
Not quite. It was the Pacers bench, not the fans in the stands.
Okay.
But he didn't seem happy about it, whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, just a great stat line by the Greek Freak. He went 20 for 28, 0 for 3 on 3-pointers, though, 24 for 32 on free throws, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, a block, and 64 points. There's a reason they call him the Greek Freak. What?
Greek Freak.
That is absolutely insane.
Oh, yeah. 64 points. Is just insane on itself, and then you add the rest of that stat line. Just tip of the cap to the Greek Freak there.
I've ever seen in my life, probably.
It's that one or the
Other-
Luka
other
Doncic
than-
like 40
I mean,
point
I
triple
wasn't
double.
around. I wasn't around Wilt Chamberlain days, and not to
Yeah.
mention the fact that, I mean, again, not to say you go to the line 32 times, you're supposed to make it every single time, but still 24 of 32. I mean, he could have easily dropped
Yeah.
70.
Yeah,
But
true. Yeah, I mean, and you think about the Kobe 81 points too. This is the highest since then that I can think of, 64 points to Kobe's 81 game against Toronto way back in the day.
Yeah, I can't think of any higher since then.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
also,
I
too-
mean, Damian Lillard had something, but I think he had 58. I think this year.
where's the Rick Carlisle defense? Be honest.
Well, that's what
answer your
surprises me too is the fact the Pacers lead the league in scoring. You think of Rick Carlisle defense, and he's got the #1 offense sitting over there. It's like what? But yeah, I mean, just a crazy night by the Greek Freak. Then I want to jump back to some Mavs news here though. NBC5 is apparently reporting the casino is buying some land near Irving, the former Texas Stadium site, which I think Jeff may have called a couple weeks ago too, but NBC5 is doing their report on it now. The plan is to build a casino there along with a stadium in Irving. So you may get the Mavs in Irving, as weird as that may be.
I'm a little surprised that's in Irving.
To me,
I agree.
That would be, to me, that is terrible for the fan base because
Yeah.
before I moved up here, I loved going to Stars and Maverick games, be able to jump on the dart and hit it there because I lived out in Princeton, out there just east playing at McKinney, and be able to go drive down to Plano, jump on the dart rail, and ride it right up to the American Airlines Center.
Oh, that's the greatest thing about the American Airlines Center. You could take that train right to the front door.
And when I lived out in Tarrant County, I could jump on the TRE, ride it right in, ride it right out. It just made it
that little
so
train.
beneficial to be able to get back and forth. I loved riding the train. Just you'd have to deal with it crazy every once in a while, but at least you got to get there quickly. You didn't have to worry about paying for parking. You got to get in and get out easily. You could have a couple more drinks than what you would normally do if you were driving because you'd be sober by the time your drunk ass got back to the end of the line. That's just going to affect everything. There's no rail lines going to that area.
So what really makes me
that's not to say they won't build some because we just got the Cotton Rail. There's a whole bunch of rail lines starting up. I think because the World Cup is coming to Dallas, you got like 36 international rail lines. Like there's supposedly a Dallas to Atlanta, Dallas to Baton Rouge is coming in. You got some up north. You got Dallas going out to California way. You got all these new international rail lines that are being built.
So here's the problem that I have.
Granted on.
Is that
they have grants and contracts now, I should say.
Cuban had, no, I was just going to say, last time I checked, Cuban had land in the Cedars, Deep Elm Design Districts in Preston Hollow. Now, granted, Design District and Preston Hollow are out of consideration. I think it'd be badass if he somehow put something in Deep Elm, but we know that's not going to happen. However, with that being said, the Cedars would have been a perfect place to put that new arena there. And if he's going to put that shit in Irving, that's a big fucking mistake, man. You could get away with doing that if you're the Cowboys.
Maybe
you're not going to get away with doing that with the Mavs. And when that Mavs team goes, 27-55, they better get that fucking casino going immediately, or else no one's going to go out there. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, I'd go out there either way, but yes.
I'm not going to Irving. I'm not going to Irving for that shit. And no one is.
Okay.
I'm serious. No one's going to go out there.
I just said I would, so this at least ruins that argument for you. There's one person.
Yeah, we already know
but it doesn't
them all his money. The last thing I wanted to bring up is
red light district.
Another epic losing streak.
You're breaking up. Be quiet.
The Spurs loss today brings them to an 18-game losing streak. They're at 3-20
Oh,
on the league. Wemby really showing the NBA what he's got.
Yeah, I mean, he's still putting up like 10 and 10 double doubles, I think. But yeah, I mean, we knew that team around him was not going to be good this year.
No,
There's a
not at
reason
all.
the Spurs were in the lottery to be the number 1 pick, and they were the 4th team, I think. Like they were the 4th favorite to get the number 1, however the ratio percentage goes. They jumped 3 other teams, I think.
No, Spurs were favorite to get
I don't think you're right, but whatever. We'll go back and look at the tape.
that.
But either way, they got Wemby and however it is. I knew I should have put money on that draft pick. So it's like anytime it's a generational talent, the Spurs seem somehow to luck into that between Tim Duncan
Spurs
and
or
Victor
Cleveland?
Wembanyama these days.
Either one of them.
But yeah, I mean, I respect the Spurs as a franchise and the fact that you started here in Dallas too, and whatever, the first team in Texas. More props to them, and Greg Popovich, great coach. But at the same time, I'm also happy they're down. I mean, the Dallas Mavericks are 3. There's nothing else I necessarily care about at this point in the NBA season. How are the Mavs doing? That's the number 1 key to me.
The Mavs are actually the only team in their division in the top 6. The next team up is Houston at 7, New Orleans at 10, and then you have Memphis and San Antonio as the last 2 teams.
And don't forget,
That's
Phoenix is
huge.
the last team in the buy-in too. Phoenix is the last team in the buy-in, and everyone had them
Also,
favorites to do the NBA Finals or
Well, no,
championship.
they're 9.
Excuse me.
They're 9. New Orleans is 10.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, my bad.
I mean,
Second to last. They're second last.
in Memphis, obviously they had that Ja Morant 25 game injury. So, I mean, this Mavs team, as we discussed before, they are what they are. They're a team that still really can't play defense on a consistent basis. And they still have Tim Hardaway Jr. as a great 6th man. And
the other team surprisingly out of the top 10 is Golden State at 10-13.
They're too busy punching people.
11th.
Too busy punching
spot.
people. Yeah, I feel like they'll get in eventually.
That
but
Klay Thompson's poor play.
Yeah, he's had a
Steph
very
Curry being the
down
only
year.
one carrying that team to where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, none of those guys could really play defense to begin with. But then when you
that was their niche.
No, it wasn't. They can't play defense anymore.
Ever since Bogut, they never had a defense.
Well, the thing is that
And Draymond Green punching people.
yeah, and then Klay Thompson, and then you're asking Klay Thompson to be a shell of his former self. So it's really the Steph Curry team, and I don't think the Warriors are really going to do much. They may sneak into the playoffs, but as far as we know, that the
They will
Golden
if
State.
Chris Paul can actually pull something out of his ass second half.
I don't think I think the Warriors are done. They're done as a franchise.
I think so as well too.
At
And
least
I'm
a dynasty.
I'm done talking about these done teams. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with What the F with Jeff.
What the f?
And welcome back from the break as we're ready for everyone's favorite segment, What the F with Jeff. So Jeff, what the F?
Jeff.
So it's happened again.
Yes, it has.
Another top PGA Tour player has gone Darth Vader and gone to the Live
Hey.
Tour.
There's a
The
reason
dark
why
side.
everyone likes Darth Vader. Everyone likes Darth Vader. Everyone goes to the
Man.
dark side.
When PGA just said, you know what, we'll sell to you, then I think it was open season at that point. I'm guaranteeing we're going to see more defectors coming up.
I think so,
Anyway,
too.
as you're saying, John Rahm has now come over to Live, the number 3 player in the world.
Correct. And so there's rumors about this for a while, even though Rahm has really, prior to this, been a steadfast supporter of the PGA Tour.
He has.
And I think, Chris, as you alluded to, is the fact that once this merger came through, everyone is like, well, what the heck is going on? The PGA Tour is not being transparent with anybody. And so at this point, I think the merger will eventually happen. And I've texted, I texted my brother, I texted one of my brother's friends, and their response is, what does this mean? Like, does it really even matter anymore? Because they're merging. And then it's a fair question, and
It is.
And I thought about it more over the weekend, and I came up with this scenario: is the fact that the 4 majors are going to be the same. The Masters is going to be the Masters, U.S. Open, PGA, British Open. Those.
US Open 2025 up here in Pittsburgh. Looking forward to going to that.
Oh, at Oakmont.
At Oakmont, yep, 2025. They're already selling merchandise.
I got to drive up to your place with.
Hey, if you guys would like to come up for it, you're more than welcome. I've got the guest bedroom open, ready to go. You're more than welcome. You can all go up.
Fart in your
My father-in-law wants to go as well too. We're gonna take the kids.
I want to go with Ed.
Well, get your
everybody wants to hang out with my father-in-law. Everyone wants to hang out with Ed.
All right. We do want to hang out with him.
Well, I mean,
we do want to hang out.
That includes you.
That's why he's doing
it. Everyone wants to hang out with my father-in-law. My father-in-law does a great party. He does a great time. We all know
that's ridiculous.
I think actually you might see a couple more majors pop up. I feel like Liv wants to bring more money and more attention, and will make a few more big tournaments come up.
All right. But joking aside, this goes back to the identity of where I think this is a big deal. This is a big deal because this is a situation where the golfers want the Live identity. They want the Live identity of having to play, being able to play in shorts, being able to play 54 holes, having a fun exhibition atmosphere, and then they get to play their major events afterwards. So it's a big deal in the sense that we're approaching the Live mindset of where it's an exhibition, it's all fun, and then for the fans it is, but at the same time they make a shit ton of money anyway because of the Saudis provide.
They're making a lot of money no matter what. I mean, they've
that's my point. Right, because of the Saudis. So there's no competitive element to it regardless, even if we call it an exhibition or not. So that's why it's a big deal. And there's no competitive element to the PGA Tour at this point. And quite frankly, I don't know why I would tell any really fantastic golfer to go to the PGA Tour at this point because there's no.
He said that, didn't he? He had to close his eyes when he said it. He had to close them.
I give up.
Well, that's the whole thing, is that in the PGA Tour, I mean, you're not guaranteed the money unless you win. You're not.
No. And if you miss the cut, you make zero. There's no appearance fees.
Exactly.
Right.
There's 0. You sign on and live, you're paid. So no matter what happens, you're paid, and you're playing one less day. And we talked about this on when it came to the majors. Is this one less day affecting because now they're having to play an extra day and everything? It didn't affect Brooks, but that's what's going on right now. Is they're paying less, they're being paid more, and any golfer that doesn't go over there, it's kind of foolish at this point because you're getting paid more to play less.
Especially like you said earlier, whenever the PGA is like, yeah, we'll merge.
Yeah, and
Who
when
cares?
the PGA folded and came over to, hey, we're all going to merge together and we're going to make it one thing. So all the guys that stayed with the PGA that were loyal, that was a slap to their face. And they did
McIlroy,
more money
Rob.
than they could have.
Right. And also, too, that's another thing. And again, I'm not going to get into morals on this because,
True.
the PGA Tour, that's
Then you get into
corrupt.
Saudi Arabia morals too.
Well, PGA Tour.
And we're getting political, which is something that
Right,
we said we're
right.
not doing.
And we're not doing it. What I'm saying is that PGA Tour is corrupted itself. So my point is the fact that how I just cannot believe how fucking naive, pardon my French, that the PGA Tour was in this whole live deal to begin with. They had no preparation whatsoever.
They weren't expecting this coming. And when it came, they thought it was just going to go away easily because they were just going to take big, like old over the hill players and try to build it off.
PGA thought they owned the world too. PGA thought they owned the world.
Well, which they did when they first signed Dustin Johnson. They go, okay, well, Dustin Johnson's over the hill. He just won, the Masters, but we think he's pretty much done. What has Dustin Johnson done since then? Absolutely fucking nothing. But then they got Brooks. And they're like, okay, now we're starting to work because they got players that we actually are
playing well for. They thought even Brooks himself, the only reason he joined that because he thought he was done from a health perspective. But then suddenly he got his health back, and then he won the PGA. So
yeah, he got his money, which we always say this with any other sports players: if you can get paid, get paid. Like when Carmelo Anthony, and I bring this up all the time, when Carmelo Anthony stayed with the Knicks and said, "I stayed here to win a championship." No, you didn't. You stayed there because they could pay you the most amount of money. Just say you stayed here for the money. No one will hate you for it. That's fine. This is what you're getting paid for because after you're done playing at 32, you're not making any more money unless you've made a plan for the rest of your life. So make as much money as you can in sports. Is what you have to do as an athlete. You have to take advantage of that small window as much as you can. So I don't fault any athletes for making as much money as they can when they can. It's when they're lying about it. But that's the whole thing is that, hey, Rom, I don't fault him for it because I felt like he got screwed by the PGA, and he goes, okay, well, if we're going to join anyway, I might as well go ahead and cash in. And you know what? He made the right move.
And I don't blame Rom either on this because he is begged. He has done everything in his power to be at the big kids table at the PGA Tour. And
he's done everything
based on play too, based on play as well, not even just talk. And then they're just like, oh, whatever. Tiger Woods would rather hang out with Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth. It's just like, all right, dude, see you later. If I'm John Rahm, I'm giving this a middle finger to get the extra $100 million in my pocket. So I don't blame John Rahm for doing
Guaranteed. He's got money for his grandkids set up right now. Guaranteed.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic what John Rahm did. I mean, I don't blame him at all. I
No,
really
you
don't.
can't.
And that's the whole change of scenario of when everyone joined at first. It was, oh, they're just taking the money. It's the money. But now it's to the point, and the reason it's become that it's okay. Hey, they said the money is because of PGA succumbing and saying that we're going to merge with them. That's when it became okay at that
Yep.
point because
Yeah.
PGA turned it from you're taking the Saudi blood money to okay, now we're okay, we're going to join and everything's going to be all right. And to me,
Yeah.
that was a slap in the face to everyone that stayed who said, "Oh, I could have got money too, but no, I
Yeah.
stayed."
They
And
missed out on billions of dollars.
This is why Jay Monahan is the worst fucking commissioner in the history of American sports, in my opinion, hands down. Like who could be worse than him?
Hard to say now at this point.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard to say at this point. There have been some
Mhm.
bad commissioners, but
But I mean,
this right here has been a complete
himself
utter failure.
he himself cost players hundreds of millions of dollars just based on like stay loyal, stay through the path. It's
Well,
like,
when he drew the line in the sand that said if you leave, you will not play in another PGA event, and then for the PGA to then merge after that,
Yeah.
that's that was the whole thing. If he wouldn't have drawn the line in the sand at that point, he still had some credibility to hold out.
well,
But
also
drawing that
too,
line in the
remember,
sand when they joined together, that line in the sand was completely thrown away, and he
Yeah,
lost all credibility at that point.
well, and also too when he went on the not the 2023 Canadian Open broadcast, but the 2022 Canadian broadcast, when Jim Nance asked him the question, it's just like, you know, how could as a human being support the acts that Saudi Arabia does, and then less than a year later supports that. What a fucking hypocrite! I've never seen a bigger hypocrite in my life than Jay Monahan.
Money changes everything. Money makes the world go round.
Oh, I know it does,
If you
but
want the
just
answer
like,
to any question, it's always money because money will.
oh, it is.
change
It's all it is all about money, but just he should have known that he he should have
Thing
been
is,
smart enough
when you come
call
up
Well,
to
as
somebody.
I
the
said, he's
point,
an idiot.
when
Oh,
you
yeah.
come up to that point and you're gonna make that stand, you have to be willing. If you're gonna willing to make that stand on that hill, you need to be willing to die on that hill.
Well, he didn't. He wasn't.
And he wasn't. He wasn't willing to die on that hill, but he made that stand without being willing to die on it. Because if he was, he wouldn't still be in his position. He would have, if the league would have said, "Hey, we're going to go over to this," then he would have put in his resignation
Yeah.
and said, and then he could have then stood for his morals and said, "I'm dying on this hill. I'm not going to be a part of this." And then he could have, but he didn't.
No,
And that's
because he
fine.
has no sack.
That's fine. And now you have to accept the criticism for it.
Right.
And that's
Sure.
fine too. If you're not going to stand on it, then and you're going to stay in your position, that's fine. But you have to
Yeah.
accept the criticism for it. And you can't sit there and say, "Oh no, I didn't say it," which he hasn't. He's shut up since that point.
Right.
He is not. You haven't heard anything
Yeah,
from
he's
it, which is
not-
what you have
no.
to do. He's accepting the criticism.
And also too, he took his little he had like a heart issue or some sort of medical issue, and then he just left for a little bit. So that was interesting.
Well, that always.
Yeah. He had the hard issue of, oh, they're talking bad about me.
Oh, they're
They
talking about.
hate me.
I need to take a break. I got a heart issue.
Yeah. That's the Urban Meyer approach.
Well, anyway,
Yeah,
we'll
it
go
really
ahead.
is.
Now, let's go ahead and head into the sports gumbo. We'll go ahead and
Mode.
wrap up anything else that we haven't hit here for the evening. And we'll go ahead and start with Caleb. I think you had a couple things you wanted to jump into on this.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry, did I put you on the spot? Were you not ready?
I was
ready.
typing notes,
No, we didn't.
but either
Always
way,
be ready.
So
Always be ready.
always be waiting. That's my motto.
It's just a motivational tactic.
So Austin Hedges is no longer with the Rangers. The greatest cheerleader in Texas Rangers history has unfortunately left.
My wife is so unhappy that he's in Cleveland, but maybe I can
Right.
talk her into. But however, because he has gone to Cleveland, and that was her favorite player. Our anniversary weekend, the Rangers will be playing in Cleveland. Maybe I can talk her into going out there for the anniversary. We'll see.
Maybe so. Maybe
Might
so.
be good. That might be a good thing.
But also, you've got Will Smith leaving the Rangers as well, heading out to the great city of Kansas City.
Don't care. Don't care.
Like he had a decent year for us. Congrats to him. The Royals, I'm guessing, are the favorites now to win the World Series once you sign Will Smith, as it has been for the last 3 years. As his travel tag notably went to the Hall of Fame, since he's been on 3 teams that won the World Series in the past 3 years. But I doubt Kansas City's going to turn that around.
He is the Robert Horry of baseball. That's what he is.
Yes.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I will absolutely go with that. He's the Robert Horry of baseball.
You're like Steve Kerr or Robert Horry, like between like a 12-year period.
Robert Horry.
Those teams like won the thing. Robert Horry is the only one that happened to change teams between those. I think Kerr pretty much stayed with the Spurs. But I think Horry had a little more impact on the teams he was with, as in the big shot Rob myth. That is his legacy. But yeah, that's pretty much mine right now. I think we're going to get into the Shoto Otoni deal a little bit later. But if we want to, we can get into that now.
Yeah, we can get into it now. Go for it.
Okay. So Shoto Otoni, the big spender of the offseason, has now been signed. $700 million signed to the Dodgers for 10 years. Richest contract in MLB history, no matter how you look at it.
We already knew it was going to be.
I know, but
he got it back-ended.
Tell me the funky stuff about. Tell me the funky stuff. Doesn't sound right to me.
The funky stuff? What's funky about it?
That he's.
He's back-ending the contract.
He's back-ending this contract.
Yeah, he's back-ending the contract like.
I don't think
contracts these days are.
That's
no, it's not. Fair. Life's not fair, but that's something that if he agrees to as a player, you can't affect.
Oh, if you're a player, you do that. But I'm just saying, I think from an MLB standpoint, you need to think about how much there needs to be a limit on how much you can defer.
Well, they can't limit that. That's not in the bylaws.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying
when it comes down to
the next agreement, I don't know. Maybe that'll be the next agreement.
Hey,
but for now, it is what it is.
I'm going to sound ignorant on this, and I don't know what he has guaranteed.
And also, too, I don't think there's
I don't know
I don't know what the exact numbers are either. I don't think any of us or any media outlet actually know what the hell it is. We just know some of it's been pushed back.
It's saying that it's back, so even that it's back, I don't know what's guaranteed per injuries or if he gets cut, if he gets
now here's an interesting thing.
I think this is more of a risk of him.
Yeah, I think it depends on what's guaranteed for sure. But he's also got an opt-out clause if one of the Dodgers execs decides to leave. If he leaves, then Shoto Otoni can leave. Still interesting.
That I didn't see.
But I think maybe he learned from his time in Los Angeles and like, all the money's great, but if I don't have a team, I'm not going to win shit. So maybe he's allowing the Dodgers to try to build up a little bit. So he's like, if I win a couple now when I'm early and hopefully young, although I think he's like 28 going into this year. So he's still technically in his prime. But
he's not like the Dominicans that they give up the birth certificate that's drawn in crown.
Yeah.
No one believed Albert Pujols was 41 when he said he was 41. No one believed that.
Right.
No one believed
you're old
at all. He was 46.
So, I mean, I think This is a good move by Tony, though. I think he's going to win championship. This is where he was planning to go anyway. He lives in the area. There's a huge Asian community to support him.
Angel fans are already hating on him.
They are. They started talking smack, saying how he was a clubhouse distraction.
No, that's Angel fans being Angel fans because they're terrible. They should be good fans because their team is the Angels, but no, they're terrible. I know that from being a Ranger fan. They are awful. And sorry, no, don't be mad at Ohtani. Be mad at your front office for not putting together a good pitching staff and actually more players than an injured Mike Trout to help him try to win.
Yeah.
He never even got
some
to
of the
playoffs.
craziness too
Mike
is
Trout and
Albert
Ohtani
Pujols
never
was
got
not
to the
same
playoffs.
with the Cardinals. Yeah, that's what's devastating. Is the two best players are on the same team and never got to the fucking playoffs.
Never got to the playoffs. You can't hate on him leaving for that. You can't. No, it's because you put nothing around. Put no pitching. You put no other help out in the field.
Yeah.
That is completely on the front office of the Angels.
Yeah. I mean,
terrible.
I will give them.
They tried to blame the manager. It wasn't the manager. It was the front office.
No, I mean, they tried to sign Albert Pujols, but he was a shell of himself after leaving the Cardinals, which is crazy to me.
No,
Albert Pujols is one of my favorite players, but I don't know why he just fell off the fucking cliff.
He was past his prime at that point.
Yeah. Then you got Rendon off the national team after they win the World Series, and he falls off a cliff.
That just.
I mean.
That wasn't good. He did not fit into their system.
Highly probable. But
that was
yeah,
he just didn't fit.
Yeah. No, I do think we need to remember Shoto Ohtani's not going to be pitching this year because of the arm issues. He's only going to be hitting, which is kind of scary to think about. He might approach 60 home runs if that's all he's got to worry about is just hitting. For a year,
that's all suggesting, and that's also him going to a different league and going against different pitchers than he's been used to.
Very true.
I mean, there's a lot going into it. Yeah, he could approach it, but the injuries to the pitching also they will. That doesn't mean he's like perfect hitting either. He still has injuries. It's still injuries. Just because it's not a throwing injury doesn't mean it's not taking off his hitting ability at least a little bit. I mean,
we'll see.
I have a question.
I mean, I know it's different muscles and everything else, but just because you're injured.
Yeah, but I mean, it's your whole body trying to swing a bat. Don't get me wrong.
That's the thing is that this is a situation.
I mean, this is a generational talent. So
exactly, because it's a both ways talent. Most times when the pitchers are injured in that way, they're not doing anything. He's still gonna be hitting.
Right.
I have a question.
So, in that
once Porter finishes, you can go, Jeff.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Waiting on you, Jeff.
No, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
No, I already finished. I was waiting for you.
You guys went then.
No, but Caleb said.
He did, and I finished my statement. I was waiting for you. Keep up.
People tell me things, and I'm supposed to assume the opposite. Okay. Anyway. And again, this is the pessimist in me. Do we feel that this could be a situation where Ray Davis just showed up with his buddies at the country club and got made fun of and said, like, oh man, why does your team suck? How come you can't do anything? Well, I'll show you here overnight that I can make a World Series team. And then sure enough, with his material transactions, he did do that. And then it's like, hey, motherfuckers, I did that. And then I'm done. And then he becomes a hard ass and doesn't pay anything anymore. Is that a possibility for this?
So you're
team?
talking about the Rangers now, not Ohtani.
Oh, yes, I am. I'm talking
Okay.
about the Rangers right now.
I mean, could
Because
it
I feel
happen?
like because
Yes.
the reason I
Sorry.
said it
Yeah.
with
go ahead.
Ohtani because there's talks that the Rangers could pay for Ohtani, and obviously the Rangers still don't even want to pay for someone like Josh Hader anymore. So
Well,
they're
first off,
certainly
we're
not going to
talking
pay for.
$700
they're not-
million. The Rangers are not going to approach that with the contracts they have and the payroll they have already on the butt. There's just not enough room. Second off, apparently this Bali's contract is throwing the Rangers into a lot of where are we going to get our money from, which to me is kind of stupid because someone's
Well,
going
you
to
don't
fucking
think
pay
they're
the
the
Rangers
only
for their
team
shit.
that's dealing with this?
To me, that was
with
a-
this
to me, that
situation
was
right
a-
now.
That's
To
my
me, that was
too.
an excuse.
But
that was an excuse.
supposedly this is something that even the Rangers management have said, and like I said, I think it is an excuse. But I mean, at the same
Hey,
time, that is
and
a
in all
large
that,
portion of revenue that you don't know where
the
it's coming
Stars
from right
did
now.
sign something with, I think, Channel 21 in Dallas. I saw something posted about that.
I guess that's
earlier
coming
today.
in 2024 then, because I don't think they can
Yeah.
do it this year. But like I said, I mean, they're going to get the money. But also, I mean, like I said, they're not signing Ohtani because that's $700 million. They were not even in the ballpark to sign him.
It's not issue doing that.
Now they need to fit. They need to sign Montgomery and they need to sign Hader, and
Well, they're
that will
not
shut
going
Jeff
to.
up and stop him from
They're
being
not-
they're
pessimistic.
not going to.
They're
They're
still
not
on the
going to do
market.
any of this. They're not.
How do you
Tim, they're
know?
not gonna
How do
sign-
you know?
I
Where's
think
your
they can
insider
get
information
Hader.
that you know they're not going to do it?
I think they can get Hader. I don't think they can get Montgomery.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
Montgomery's a tall
Montgomery's
ass. Don't get me
gone.
wrong, but
They're not.
I mean,
Again, every.
you got to get a little bullpen help, and I'm not just talking Kirby Yates. You need
I'm
something
not
more
saying you don't need it. I agree with you.
We're
But
not
the
saying
fact
you
that-
didn't say it, Jeff. We're just saying they're going to sign it. It's this fact that you think the woe
Well-
is me, the owner's going to become a hard ass. I'm disagreeing with you there.
Where's nature's been for them to sign Josh Hader other than sports writers? Has there been
Us?
any?
We want them to sign him.
Okay, but does management want to sign him? No.
How do you
Where-
know? How do you know management doesn't want to sign him? Have they said it? Have you seen a report that's claimed it from anybody? A
They've
statement?
implied that.
He's
Yeah,
got
He's
so
got
some.
his
don't want-
gut. He's got his gut.
No, I need to forward the Dallas Morning News article to where they just
Apparently.
they have no intention of signing anyone worth any kind of
Well, I've seen
financial
that too as
adjustment.
well, that they wouldn't sign anyone when it comes down to it. They're trying to keep the powder dry. But I think they still are. There's a reason why Hader hasn't been signed yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
He's
also
asking too
too,
much money.
I think
but-
he is.
I mean, and I don't blame him for it.
Yeah, I mean, if Hader gets signed by more money and gets it, I mean, fine, good for him. But at the same time, the Rangers are done at that point. You got the number one reliever, and that's your biggest weakness, and you don't at least sign somebody. But I don't
I
think it's
think
the
it-
ownership being a hard ass either. I mean, this is an ownership that came in when they first came in, said, we're going to spend.
I
And
just
then-
felt like,
And
well,
yeah.
won a
they did.
World
They
Series.
did.
Yeah.
In their minds, they did. And it's over now. And then you
I
have
don't
to
think it's
deal
over.
with it.
I don't
I
think they're
know,
like
right?
we won it and we're done.
Yeah.
They want
I-
to win another one, but at
Just
the same
like
time,
just
they're
going
not
back
the-
to is they're holding on by a pinky finger over the cliff at the end of last year when it's like they're not even making the playoffs. They're just hanging on
Yeah.
by a loose nail. It's like, Jeff,
yeah, sure.
get out of the barrel. I know your teams don't usually win, but you've got to crawl out of the barrel at least sometimes.
I
Or
just,
crawl out of the
there's
ocean,
been-
whatever.
There's been no indication other than the
It's
random
been-
match shit.
It's been a very quiet offseason as a whole. There's a lot of free agents that have not
And
been
there's
signed.
reason. And I guarantee you the Rangers will sign no one of consequence. And
All right, we'll put it on the board. Jeff's predicting
Put it
that
on the
no
board.
one
Well, I don't-
signed. Nobody signed a conscience.
well, I'm glad they got the series. So
We're all glad they got the series.
That's the main thing. And
It is the main thing right now. Now the continuation is to shut Houston.
it just sucks
Keep Houston
because
and not let Houston do anything ever again.
Yes.
The whole point.
I mean, Houston fans are very upset that they have signed this new catcher from, I think, the Brewers, because it
Good.
means their long-term catcher is going to go away. Maldonado.
Well, everybody
I'm
wanted
good
that
with that.
that other the
Yeah,
younger
I mean,
kid,
it's
that second
not a
year
bad
guy to come up
signing.
anyway. So I mean,
Yeah, but they signed this free agent. I can't remember the guy's name, from the Brewers, I believe, and he's going to be the new starting catcher for the Houston Astros.
well, before we go ahead and wrap it up, I want to talk about the Dallas Stars being in second place.
Yes.
You saying
Now-
there's a chance?
No,
We
there
are.
is. Of course, there's
They
a
are-
chance.
They're in second to the Colorado Avalanche, who are right now beating the Buffalo Sabres 5-1. So
But
that
the
doesn't look
Florida
good.
could sweep the East, basically. Just because you're second doesn't mean a
matter.
whole lot.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who the fuck cares about this?
In the East, a team that was supposed to be good because of them trading, making some big trades during the offseason, the Penguins sitting in second to last in the entire division of the East, which is very surprising.
I feel like
Very, very
they are who we thought they were. I mean, those signings to me weren't going to
They're-
do jack
they're
for
old.
them.
Well, we talked
Yeah.
about it earlier that it was they brought over the Carlson from
We did talk about it, but
from the oh goddamn who was it? But Sharks, I think. And
that sounds right.
yeah, he didn't do anything. And one thing that I want to bring up before we leave is I've been seeing because right now I've got it's on TNT, Colorado Avalanche, Buffalo Sabres, because that's the only sport that's going on at this moment that I can get right now. I've got it on TV, but they keep advertising the Winter Classic, which to me the Winter Classic is a fun game to watch. New Year's Day, it's outdoor
Alright.
hockey. It's awesome to watch. It's good. It was especially great when it was Nashville and Dallas. You know, you got to see the great jerseys that were put on there. Usually you get to see good teams. Okay, it's going to be in Seattle, a team that has been here for 3 years. 3 years.
The Kraken.
And they're getting the Winter Classic against the Vegas Golden Knights.
The
And
Vegas
I know
Golden
why.
Knights are the number one in the Western Conference at the moment.
No, they are not. Oh, that's
Pretty
Central.
sure
Well,
they
maybe they
were.
are. I was looking at Central. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, they are. Oh, sorry. Let me get to a better conference. I was looking at division. My bad.
No worries. Second and Central's good too, though.
So yes, in the conference, yes, you have Vegas, so you have them there, but Seattle is
They're down there.
5th worst, and they are hosting. This is
Well,
absurd.
they don't always have great teams in that, do they? I thought sometimes they have.
Usually you do. Usually you have stellar teams that come out there.
Because I feel like the Stars made it a couple of times to the Winter Classic
No.
when they were in their down years.
No, the Stars host the Winter Classic once again in Nashville. They never played the Winter Classic. Never played it before that. That was the first time they had 2 Southern teams playing the Winter Classic. Was the Dallas Nashville, and
that's on
they
New
played
Year's
it at the
Day.
Cotton Bowl on New Year's Day. They
Well, as I
always
said,
played the Winter
it's hard.
Classic in northern cities because they knew it would be cold for it.
Yeah.
And now you've got, and yes, Seattle's cold enough to do it. That's understandable. But it's a terrible team. I understand that when they plan these TV schedules out, you plan it out as it was. Seattle was a playoff team last year. I understand that. But you need to be able to flex this out as you do in football. can't just guarantee that that's going to be this
Well,
week.
it's hard when you have to build a stadium. It's hard to flex it out.
It's not building the stadium, and they're playing it at the Seahawks.
Right. Yeah,
But this
they
was the
already have
outdoor
it
game, the Winter
prepared.
Classic.
It
where
is the
you
outdoor
build-
game.
Yeah, they
They're
don't
gonna play it at
prepare
the
shit.
Seahawks area, just like in Dallas when they did it the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, but they still had to construct
Well,
the
they've done
base
it
of the
at
stadium
Fenway.
and pipe and ice.
When the
and shit.
when the Bruins hosted, they played it at Fenway.
Yeah, but you still had to do shit with the field and build something. You didn't just
You
fucking go to
do, but
Midway
they
and say,
can-
"I'm going to go on the sand and skate."
Yeah, but it doesn't. Yeah, they can figure that out in a week, though. They know how to do that stuff. That's the whole thing. It's not like they can't. Oh, it's been a year. We can't figure out how to do this. No, they can figure it
Yeah,
out.
they
easy.
already have that shit prepared.
But really, they never should have had it in Seattle anyway, because Seattle's only been in existence for 3 years. Why the hell are
But
they getting
Seattle
Winter
made the
Classic?
playoffs their first year.
They did, but why are they getting a Winter Classic out of the just right out of the bat? There's no reason for that. You haven't earned
Couldn't
it.
tell you.
You've never,
Couldn't
you've
tell you.
not earned it yet. But it's gonna happen. So it is what it is, and I hope that it fails miserably, just because I don't think they've earned it. I really don't. I don't think they deserve it. I hope Vegas just completely destroys them. It's an 8-9-0 game, and
Well, at that point,
Maybe
it becomes
that'd be
interesting just how
amazing.
shit it is. Like the Vikings and Raiders, you're just like, this game is so shitty. I had to tune into the fourth quarters to see what the fuck would happen. The ineptitude
yeah, at
was
that point,
amazing.
I'll watch it to see how much Vegas runs the score up.
I mean, it's
Seattle
like
Yeah.
Army
or
Navy at that
game. You
point.
just don't.
Yep.
All right. Well, if you guys, do you have any other things you want to bring up? Here in the
I think
Gumbo?
I got mine.
All right.
got anything,
Last thing I
Jeff?
wanted to bring up is Arsenal lost this last week, so they're now second
Our weekly soccer
in the
report.
English Premier League. Liverpool now number 1 overall
Ah,
in the English Premier
very
League.
Yeah.
nice.
Arsenal in
That's all
second.
right. Arsenal come back.
Aston Villa in third, and Manchester City, the 2-time reigning champion, in fourth. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So,
and if we want to talk about who's down at the last 3,
Nottingham Forest,
Leeds.
Manchester
No.
United. No.
Nottingham Forest is in 16th. They are 5 out of the last spot. They're still there. They're okay.
the thing is,
Uh,
what is going
Who's
on
being
with
relegated?
Chelsea?
Who's being
What is
relegated?
going on with
Luton-
Chelsea right now?
Luton Town, Burnley, and Sheffield United are the bottom. They're going to be regulated. They're going to be heading
Mm.
down.
Yeah, the thing is, what
Chelsea.
I don't get though is I mean, that's like the Yankees selling off like
Chelsea is in 12th.
that's
12th.
that's amazing to me. How does that happen?
Well, on top of that, Manchester United is in 6th. 3 weeks ago, they were in 10th.
Well,
They have
but
moved
also
their
too,
way up.
but also,
Manchester
too, at the
United
same
has been
time-
really low.
but also too at the same time is that Arsenal was in that 11, 9, 11, 12 order, and then now they're back on top, and then Chelsea has switched spots with them. So that's fascinating.
They have. I mean, Tottenham was up earlier. They were in 2nd seed not too long ago, and now they're in 5th. Manchester United, of course, has moved themselves up. Newcastle 7th. They've been up there. And West Ham, they're 9th.
Aston
normally not.
Villa's 3. Jesus.
I mean,
Christ.
it's and really, I've never been a big.
You
soccer
picked a good
person.
time to start supporting Arsenal, basically.
I have been. I have picked a good time to support it. It has, and it hasn't hurt that.
My best friend
On
from
Saturday,
high school
Sunday
used to
mornings-
love Arsenal. That was
Well,
20 years ago, though.
They
The
do.
one
That
good
was a
thing
great
about-
move by the English League too to put it on then.
The one good thing about the East Coast is that they put them on USA, and the games happen at 9 a.m. on Eastern Conference time. And my oldest son, wants to watch sports. He loves watching sports. So
And if you have Peacock as well, you can watch other games.
we're
True.
up. Well, we have the free Peacock. We don't pay for the extra, so we don't get those games. So we get the USA whatever games are on. But hey, before college football came on, before NFL football comes on Sunday, hey, we're up at 7
Butt
a.m.
cracking on.
7:30 Eastern Conference time. There's nothing else on. Hey, there's soccer. He now downloaded a soccer game. I don't know how he did it on his tablet, on his iPad.
Mhm.
Daddy, how do I play this? I don't know. We're gonna figure it out. But don't get the red cards. The red cards are bad.
Mm-hmm.
But he's into soccer now. As much as he's into
Good
baseball,
for
which
him.
he's still into baseball, he's into soccer now. So okay, we're watching soccer in the morning because hey, what else is there to watch? Okay, it's better than
Yeah.
watching some stupid show, where they're just mind numbing. At least we're watching a sport. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
take it where you can take it.
Exactly.
And Bond.
So it's brought my interest into it because I'm watching it. So
As it should.
hey,
We'll get you.
watching
We'll
it
have you
for me,
ready
now
by
it's
the
my turn.
time the World Cup comes around again, huh?
World Cup, I'll watch. I've always watched the World Cup.
How about the Euro? What about the Euro Cup that's coming up?
I will watch that now. I would watch that as long
Yeah.
as my sons are into it. If it
Right.
conflicts with something else, no. But MLS, I'm not watching. Not happening. I'm
fair
watching
enough.
the best of the best.
I would watch MLS. Fuck them.
Well, I know you would. But I'm watching the best of the best.
Like I just said, I don't watch MLS.
Oh, I thought you said you watched the MLS. You
I
calm.
do not do that.
Yeah, you calm your tits. You miss
Calm your
Mr.
tits.
Messi. Oh, Messi, he's the best.
He is the
It's a
best.
different scenario. That's a different fucking scenario. That's a whole different animal, and you know
Exactly.
that.
Well, I said I don't watch the MLS because it's not worthy of watching. So calm down. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
I think we need to end this for Jeff's sanity.
I think we need to do that as well. Flash more on your face, sweet cheeks.
Don't call me sweet cheeks. Ass.
I will always call you sweet cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
Never have.
I was going to play Jeffy's music for a second.
Just playing that.
Yep.
Well, hey, we've had a lot of fun. Thanks again for everyone joining us. Please comment on YouTube. Please like us on YouTube. Please join our Facebook, Twitter. We'd love to have you join us out here. Let's build this community. Let's talk some more sports. Let's bring
Make
more
Jeff feel better.
things in. Make Jeff feel
You
better.
may feel better.
Please comment what you want us to talk about, because otherwise we're just going to plan it out and you have to listen to what we want to talk about. If you want to hear things, please reach out to us. Let us know what you want to hear. And hey, let us know. Come talk to us. You might even make an appearance on the podcast. We can set that up. So once again, everyone have a good night. For Caleb Culver, Jeff Amos, Chris Porter, I'd like to welcome you all out for another next round. Cheers, guys. Have a good evening.